Chapter 537. As summoners, they had seen too many strange things and endless secret methods. Summoners knew many things that ordinary people didn't know and were more open-minded. Therefore, after hearing Xiaoping's words, although Tu Pelu and Fong Lingshan were shocked, they didn't lose their minds like ordinary people and think it was impossible. Tu Pelu took a few deep breaths before suddenly asking, "Many people know what you just said. Don't pretend. You said you're Xiaoping gone. Then let me ask you a question. What was the first sentence I said to you when we met? What was the first thing I passed to you?" Tu Pelu was crude but meticulous. Such a question could only be answered by experienced people. It was a trivial matter in life. Besides Xiaoping gone, nobody else could answer it. After thinking for a short while, Xiaoping gone replied, "Old Tu, I remember the first sentence you said to me was, 'Brat, you're not bad.' You even hid your clairvoyance so well. The first thing you passed to me was a noise-canceling headset from the helicopter. That was our first mission, which was to hunt down demon rats." Hearing Xiaoping's answer, Tu Pelu opened his mouth as his face changed. It was extremely splendid at once. Fong Lingshan's face also changed. Because she was also on the helicopter at that time, she knew what happened at that time. Tu Pelu moved his eyes onto Fong Lingshan. Fong Lingshan slightly frowned. After thinking for a short while, she opened her mouth. "When Xian Ning met me for the first time, she said you mentioned me to her. Do you remember where we met at that time? How many times did Xian Ning say you mentioned me to her?" Xiaoping gone touched his nose. "We were at Guangzhou Hotel at that time. Let me think, that girl likes to trick me. Her elder brother. She said I mentioned you to her at least 5 times. Lingshan, is he right?" Tu Pelu asked with a frown. You're really Xiaoping gone." Fong Lingshan had already put away her gun as she stared at Xiaoping gone in shock. When Fong Lingshan and Xia Ning met for the first time, they almost had a misunderstanding. At that time, only Xiaoping gone was present. Besides Xiaoping gone, nobody else could have known about those words. Hearing Fong Lingshan's words and seeing her putting away her gun, Tu Pelu knew that Xiaoping gone was right. Since Xiaoping gone knew about this, it couldn't be fake. Tu Pelu also put away his rocket launcher. He became excited as he patted Xiaoping's shoulder. "Bro, it's really you? How did you? What happened? I thought I wouldn't be able to see you anymore." I asked Old Master, and he said you participated in the Great Fire Country's heaven patching plan and went to the world where the space invasion originated from. This was a top-secret mission. The mission you received was to completely eliminate the space invasion. You might not be able to come back. Did your plan succeed? Old Tu, to put it simply, I could come back because I mastered a secret technique. It's equivalent to reincarnation. Luoyin's body and identity are tools for me to use in this world. The difficulty of the heaven patching plan is beyond imagination. Until now, we haven't seen any hope of completing this mission. Xiaoping gone said straightforwardly. Did the others come back too? Fong Lingshan asked immediately. Lingshan, I'm the only one who can come back. I'm afraid the others won't be able to come back for the time being. This heaven patching plan encountered difficulties and twists from the very beginning. The enemy we faced was too strong. I was separated from the others. After arriving there, I only met Yin Duo. Later on, due to some reasons, we separated and searched for our own opportunities and ways out. Xiaoping gone said as he looked out of the car. This car had been parked here for a while. Not far away, there were already gangsters looking at this car. Many pedestrians were also looking at this car. Old Tu, start the car first. Let's find a place and talk slowly. Tu Pelu restarted the car. Stepping on the accelerator, the SUV started running again. An hour later, by the Seine River outside Paris, the Seine River flowed peacefully. The SUV was parked beside the reeds on the riverbank. Not far away, there was an abandoned small pier. A damaged yacht lay on the riverbank, half buried in mud. On the opposite side of the river was a barren field. There were no signs of human habitation except for wild rabbits. A gentle breeze blew across the river, causing the reeds to sway. Apart from the chirping of insects and the sound of the flowing river, the surroundings were quiet. A stone hit the river and floated for more than 10 meters before falling into the river. Xiaoping gone clapped his hands and turned around to look at Tu Pelu and Fong Lingshan. The two of them were like statues. They were completely shocked by what Xiao had told them. Xiao didn't tell them about the spiritual realm in detail. That would be a digression. He only said that he had mastered a secret technique that allowed him to clone himself and return through it. Even so, Tu Polu and Fong Lingshan still felt that it was too unbelievable. Now you know about it. That's about it. Only the two of you know about my return. That night, I used a secret technique to visit your dreams. I originally wanted to tell Yinzhou about it, but that guy's dream was too wretched. I couldn't help but tease him. I'll tell him about it in a few days. You can visit other people's dreams at will and deliver messages in their dreams. Tupolu asked with his eyes wide open. He even swallowed his saliva. More or less. That's basically it. Xiaoning, the director, and the others don't know about it yet. We'll see how it goes. I'm worried that it won't be good if too many people know about it. It might cause big trouble and bring danger to you. Tupolu and Fong Lingshan thought about it and nodded. Xiaoping's cloning secret technique was too abnormal. If others knew about it, it might cause big trouble. Moreover, if the demon eyes knew about it, Xiaoping would probably become the target of public criticism and be hunted down by the demon eyes all over the world. Other summoners who were not from the demon eyes might not be completely kind to someone like Xiaoping. The complexity and darkness of the human heart were often beyond imagination. You said you were being hunted down by a demigod over there? Fong Lingshan asked in a hoarse voice. How strong is that demigod? Xiaoping thought about it. Even if all the summoners in this world were to form an army, they still wouldn't be a match for that person. If that person wanted to, I think he could completely destroy this planet step by step. Can a nuclear bomb kill that demigod? Tupolu asked. I don't know. I don't think so. The ability of a demigod powerhouse is beyond our imagination. Their control of space and power has already exceeded the limits of the laws of physics that we know. Xiaoping shook his head. I've seen that person attack, and it's no less powerful than a nuclear bomb. A city with a radius of hundreds of thousands of kilometers turned into ashes in an instant. Not even an ant survived so strong. Aren't we inferior to ants in front of such a person? Tupolu also felt that such power was unimaginable, and he was slightly absent-minded. From a summoner's point of view, that world over there is the source and the peak of power. Above demigods, there are existences at the level of gods. The strength of gods is even more unimaginable. Then why did you use the secret technique to come back? Is there anything we can help you with? Fong Lingshan asked. There are two reasons. One is that I need realm beads to increase my strength. I know that there are still many rare realm beads on Earth. These rare realm beads are useful to me. The second reason is that I'm a little worried, and I miss everyone, so I want to come back and take a look. If there's any danger here, I should be able to help. Xiaoping said calmly. Realm beads. Fong Lingshan murmured as she revealed a helpless, bitter smile. Even Xiaoping didn't have realm beads, neither did they. Additionally, according to Xiaoping, the number and types of rare realm beads in this world were fewer than that on Earth. Some of the realm beads that Xiaoping integrated in that world had never been seen on Earth. Don't worry about the realm beads. I know you don't have any extra realm beads. I can make trades and tasks with the Committee of Order and Dragon Group to get some realm beads. As long as I have demon rats, I can refine body-strengthening pills and get realm beads. Oh, Xiaoping suddenly thought of something as he added, if you don't have realm beads that you're confident in integrating, I can help you integrate. Hearing that Xiaoping could help them integrate realm beads, Tupolu and Fong Lingshan were shocked once again. Since Xiaoping revealed his identity today, the two of them hadn't been calm at all. They were always shocked by Xiaoping. After being stunned for a short while, Tupolu exchanged a glance with Fong Lingshan before asking, You mean you can help us integrate realm beads? Yes, at least I can help you integrate any of the realm beads that you've obtained in this task. Is this also a new secret method that you've mastered? Yes, this secret method comes from a mysterious and powerful realm bead. That realm bead can only be found on Earth. I'm preparing to take the risk to integrate it. How can you help me? Tupolu asked. After you fall asleep, I can help you with the secret method in your dreams. After you go back tonight and have a good rest, I can enter your dreams again. This was a new ability that Xiao Pingon had grasped. Generally speaking, those who had fused with the Saint Master's Realm Pearl would not have the ability to help others in their dreams. However, other than fusing with the Saint Master's Realm Pearl, Xiao Pingon's spirit body was also abnormally powerful. He had grasped the secret method of the spirit realm and could freely enter and leave the spirit realm and enter the dreams of others. This way, with the combination of these two abilities, Xiao Pingon had the ability that no other Saint Master had. Chapter 538. The dining room was filled with the alluring aroma of food. As soon as Xiao Pingon returned to the villa, Emily quickly prepared lunch: stir-fried steak, grilled sausages, French chowder, baguettes, and red wine. The atmosphere in the dining room was very lively. "Teacher, your appetite doesn't seem to be as good as before. Is it because my food is not good?" Emily couldn't help but ask as she watched Xiao Pingon cut her steak elegantly while sipping on the red wine with small sips, her beautiful eyes flashing with excitement. If it was before, Xiao Pingon would have finished all the food in front of Xiao Pingon long ago. No, your food is great. A few days ago, my body needed extremely high calories, so I ate a lot. Now that my body has recovered, so my appetite is normal too. Xiao Pingon smiled as he glanced at Emily. "Do you have something to tell me?" "Yes, it's like this. Teacher, do you remember those thieves who broke into the villa last time?" "Yes, I do." "What's wrong? Weren't they taken away by the patrol team?" "Yes, it's like this." Emily plucked up her courage and seemed a little excited. "Yesterday, the patrol team came to find me and hoped that I could join the community patrol team. They said that the community patrol team needed female members very much because it was more convenient for female members to deal with matters related to females. I defeated those thieves last time, so they felt that I had the ability to do so. Teacher, do you think I can join?" "Right, I forgot to ask you. Who's in charge of this community? Who's the patrol team serving?" Hearing Emily mention the patrol team, Xiao Pingon recalled this question. Previously, this question was just a trivial matter to him, and he didn't even bother to pay attention to it. Pierrefitte is the territory of the People's Front. The People's Front is very powerful in Paris. They protect many people and unite the people so that we don't have to be afraid of those gangsters and scoundrels anymore. We don't have to be deceived by those despicable politicians anymore. Paris belongs to the people of Paris, and France belongs to the people of France. Looking at Emily's sparkling eyes and listening to her slightly excited face, Xiao Pingon realized that this female student of his seemed to be a hidden fanatic of the social movement. Her sense of justice was off the charts. Seeing that Xiao Pingon didn't say anything, Emily asked softly with a guilty conscience, "Teacher, you don't agree?" "No, I was just wondering if it would be convenient for you to join the patrol team. It seems to be full of men." Emily became excited again. She took out a letter and handed it to Xiao Pingon. "Look, Mr. Xiao, this is their invitation to me. They said that the People's Front has organized a female patrol team. If I go, I could be a team leader and lead a few girls to carry out missions together. They will also teach us how to use weapons. Do you want to go?" Emily nodded affirmatively. The patrol team can protect others, and the treatment is not bad. Then go. With your current strength, you won't have any problems protecting yourself. A true summoner is honed bit by bit through battle. Teacher, when can I become a summoner? Finish the bottle of pills I gave you last time, and it's about time. At that time, I can help you fuse with the Rel Pearl. Oh right, you have to keep everything about me a secret. If others know that you have a teacher like me and that you can eat those pills, it might not be a good thing for you." Xiao Pingon reminded her seriously. At this moment, Emily still didn't know what Xiao Pingon meant by integrating the realm bead with her. She thought it was just a normal guidance. "Don't worry, teacher, I know." Emily became excited. "Oh, teacher, did you carry out a mission yesterday?" More or less. Although Emily was very curious about Xiao Pingon's mission and asked several questions, Xiao Pingon didn't say too much. He was afraid of scaring Emily. The current Paris was not peaceful, and there were hidden dangers. Under such circumstances, it was not bad for Emily to join the patrol team of the People's Front and get in touch with some dangerous things as early as possible and train her ability. Before Zhang Tai came to this villa, Emily had lived here alone for 2 years. This girl was very smart and didn't lack courage. She should be able to face it. Zhang Tai was only her teacher who promised to lead her on the path of summoner. As for how she would go in the future, it was up to her. After the two of them finished their meal, they washed the dishes together and chatted for a while. Emily changed her clothes and left the villa with a pistol. She happily went to contact the patrol team. Previously, she had promised to think about it before applying to the patrol team. After Emily left, Xiao Pingan came to the underground shelter of the villa. He opened the formation plate and took out Su Donpa's realm bead that he had just obtained. He pondered for a while. The story of Su Donpa in Korea was very meaningful. If the content of this realm bead was not out of Xiao Pingan's expectation, the story of this realm bead should be the first important event in the history of China related to national information security and intellectual property rights. The protagonist of this event was Su Donpa. After dripping his blood, Xiao Pingan was wrapped in a light cocoon in a moment. The world in the realm bead didn't give people time to react. As soon as Xiao Pingan opened his eyes, he found himself walking in the long corridor of the palace. A eunuch was bowing and leading the way in small steps. As the eunuch led the way, he quietly turned his head back and whispered to Xiao Pingan, "Lord Su, the officials have read your report." However, Lord Dong and the others strongly opposed it. The Koreans haven't paid tribute for many years. This time, they came to pay tribute and even sent their prince. The minister attached great importance to it and was about to receive them with great fanfare. Now, the officials are also in a difficult position. Lord Dong has been called in just now. The officials are also calling in Lord Su for questioning. This was the difficulty of fusing with the realm bead for those who are not familiar with China's history. If someone else heard these words, their mind would definitely go blank, and they would be completely confused. They wouldn't know who His Majesty the eunuch was talking about, who Lord Dong was, who the Koreans were, and what his report said. It would be strange if he didn't fail. However, Xiao Pingan basically knew it after thinking about it. As for Lord Dong, who opposed Su Shi, Xiao Pingan thought for a while and thought of a civil official in the Northern Song dynasty, Dong Dunyi. This guy should be the assistant minister of the Ministry of Works, the scholar of Hamlin Academy, and also an important official in the imperial court. As they were talking, Xiao Pingan was led to the door of a palace. On the main seat of the palace, an emperor was sitting, and another official was standing in the hall and talking about something. Reporting to the officials, Lord Su Shi, the scholar of Duanming Palace and the scholar of Hamlin Academy, Left Chow, the minister of the Ministry of Rights, requests an audience with you. Chapter 539. Lord Su, as the Minister of Rights of the Imperial Court, I don't know why you were so against the Goryeo emissary coming to our Song dynasty. In my opinion, this is a rare opportunity for our Song dynasty to work with Goryeo to resist the Liao kingdom. Furthermore, the Goryeo emissary brought gifts to the Empress Dowager, but Lord Su is obstructing them and setting restrictions everywhere. What is your reasoning? As soon as Xiao Pingan entered the hall, he had just greeted Song Shinzong and was secretly sizing up Song Shinzong's appearance. Dong Dunyi immediately started to make things difficult for Xiao Pingan. I heard that the Goryeo emissary has already sent a letter to the Minister of Governmental Affairs, wishing to purchase the many books printed by our Song Dynasty's directorate. The Goryeo emissary also wishes to see our Taiping Imperial Guide, Round Turtle of the Treasury, and other books. Has the Minister of Governmental Affairs already agreed? Xiao Pingan looked at Dong Dunyi, his tone neither hurried nor slow as he asked. Note 1. In all fairness, Dong Dunyi and the others could not be considered treacherous officials. They were just ignorant and pedantic. If Dong Dunyi knew that in another 1,000 years, the descendants of the Goryeo people would be able to claim that they invented the culture and civilization that they stole from China, Dong Dunyi and the others' expressions would be very interesting. Even at this time, the Goryeo people did not have good intentions. On the surface, they were emissaries who wanted to mend their relationship with the Song dynasty, but in reality, they were trying to intimidate the Liao kingdom. The Goryeo emissary was sent by the Liao kingdom to spy on the Song dynasty. Haha, Lord Su's information is very fast. That's right, the Goryeo emissary has already sent a letter to the Minister of Rights and wants to buy many books from our Imperial College. At the same time, he also wants to see the Goryeo books. We believe that the Goryeo people admire our Song dynasty's prosperity and desire. Dong Dunyi said proudly. Our Song dynasty can use this opportunity to show our benevolence to Goryeo and resist the Liao kingdom together. What's wrong with that? I heard that Lord Dong took in 2 concubines a few days ago. Since Lord Dong wants to coax galleys so much, why don't you send your wife and concubines to those galley to coax them? Song Shinzong and Dong Dunyi probably never thought that Su Shi would say something like this. Song Shinzong almost couldn't hold back his laughter, but he still tried his best to hold it in. After Dong Dunyi was stunned for a moment, his face suddenly flushed red. He pointed at Xia Pinggan and said, "You Su Shi are the Minister of Rights. How? How can you be so disgraceful in front of an official? Huiro Galley? Dong Dunyi, F*CKU. You are an old tortoise without an asshole. You can't even tell good from bad. You still want to sell books to the Goryeo people? You want to give our Song dynasty's Taiping books and the Minister of Rights to those Goryeo people? I think you, son of a tortoise, will turn over sooner or later." Xiaopinggan directly pointed at Dong Dunyi's nose and scolded him with a Shu accent. "I'm scolding you now. Why don't you try to coax me?" Dong Dunyi was dumbfounded by Xiaopinggan's quick and urgent scolding in Shu dialect. He was so angry that his whole body was trembling and his face was red. He directly bowed to Song Shunzong and stammered, "Sir, please punish Su Shi for Su Shi's crime of insulting the minister." Song Shenzong was also a bit confused. Su Shi was a literary hero of the Song dynasty, an idol in the eyes of the world's literati. Usually, Su Shi spoke in a scholarly manner, which annoyed Song Shenzong. Song Shenzong didn't like it. How could Song Shenzong hear such vulgar words from Su Shi's mouth? He felt that the Su Shi in front of him was very novel, and he didn't have the old and experienced aura of the past. For a moment, he was stunned. "Ahem, Su Shi, how can you be so rude?" Song Shenzong reprimanded. Xiaopinggan bowed to Song Shenzong and then said with a serious face, "Please forgive me. Just now, I was just demonstrating to Lord Dong that the so-called coaxing can't be used on everyone. I just scolded Lord Dong a little, and Lord Dong hated me to the bone. He wanted His Majesty to punish me for my crimes, but he refused to be gentle at all. What the Goryeo people did to our Song dynasty was 1,000 times worse than what I scolded Lord Dong. If our Song dynasty were to use the so-called coaxing strategy on the Goryeo people and let them take whatever they want in our Song dynasty, then we would be unable to tell good from bad, and there would be endless trouble in the future. Oh, then tell me, what trouble will our Song dynasty's Huiro Galley have?" Song Shenzong asked directly. Dong Dunyi was so angry at Xiaopinggan that he gasped for breath. With one hand on his chest, he glared fiercely at Xiaopinggan. "If the other party is a person, you can coax them, but if the other party is an ingrate with poison on his teeth and has evil intentions, then it will be useless no matter how you coax them. They will only laugh at our Song dynasty for being pedantic and incompetent. The Goryeo people will only submit to the power of the army, but they don't know about kindness and righteousness in the world. They are despicable people and can't be trusted. On the surface, the Goryeo people want to befriend our Song dynasty, but in fact, they want to harm our Song dynasty. The Goryeo people must have gotten permission from the Liao kingdom to spy on our Song dynasty for the Liao kingdom. If we sell those books to the Goryeo people, the Liao people will get our books in the blink of an eye. Lord Su, why are you so sure that the Goryeo people sent the Goryeo people? I have seen the list of books that the Goryeo people want to buy. The list is full of our Song dynasty's divination, yin and yang, almanac, algebra, military books, edicts, current affairs, frontier machines, geography, and other types of books. According to the reaction of the sea merchants, there are Goryeo merchants who secretly bought books at various ports. All the books bought by the Goryeo people will be printed in the Liao Kingdom in the blink of an eye. You can see them in the Liao Kingdom. Goryeo came to our Song dynasty in the name of Muyi, but they want to make profits. Why? The Liao Kingdom wants to control them to death, but we can't do that. Today, the Goryeo people came here to buy all kinds of books. Along the way, they also drew pictures of our Song dynasty's landscape and station troops to spy on our real situation. How can they have good intentions? Moreover, according to the investigation of the Ministry of Rights, there are Khitan spies among the Goryeo people. Hearing Su Shi's words, Song Shinzong's expression suddenly became serious. Song Shinzong was a capable ruler, and he knew what kind of people the Goryeo people were. Although the people of the Ministry of Rights of Ministers said nice things and painted a beautiful picture of joining forces with Goryeo to suppress the Liao Kingdom. But after panting for a short while, Dong Dunyi finally grabbed a chance to speak, because Gaoli is under the control of Liao. As long as Song dynasty could make use of Gaoli to appease them, Gaoli would definitely work for us. Xia Pinggan looked at Dong Dunyi and sneered. Lord Dong, have you forgotten what happened before Taizong attacked the Liao Kingdom twice? Back then, Gaoli had not yet submitted to the Liao Kingdom and was conferred a title by Song dynasty. Taizong sent an envoy to Gaoli to announce that he wanted to join forces with the Goryeo Kingdom to suppress the Liao Kingdom. Isn't it laughable? No matter how much you give Gaoli, it will be like throwing meat buns at a dog, and there will be no return. Dong Dunyi was speechless for a moment, and then he argued. The Goryeo envoys came to our Song dynasty to celebrate the Empress Dowager's birthday and to see if they could join forces with us. They even prepared a birthday gift for the Empress Dowager. How can Lord Su say that the Goryeo envoys have ulterior motives? Xia Pinggan said, those Gaoli messengers gave us the time they used to submit the report in the Jiazi calendar, not the Song calendar. Those Gaoli people just like to play tricks in small places like this, sneaking around and using lowliness as a form of intelligence. They have no respect for the Song dynasty at all. Isn't this disloyalty? How can we let those Gaoli people do as they wish? Dong Dunyi was once again speechless, and he argued, the birthday gift that the Goryeo envoys prepared shouldn't be fake, right? I heard that it was 2 large golden pagodas. This is enough to show their sincerity. Sir, this is where those Goryeo people are treacherous. The golden pagodas that the Goryeo envoys gave us are only 2 small pagodas in boxes. The Goryeo people know that once we accept their so-called birthday gift, the imperial court's gift in return will be 100 times more than their birthday gift. They will definitely make a huge profit. Adding on the cost of receiving the Goryeo envoys along the way, it will be no less than a few 100,000 strings of coins. The place will also be harassed, and it will be a waste of manpower and resources. They want to use 2 worthless toys to exchange our Song dynasty's most precious books and records back, and they want to make a huge profit. And in the blink of an eye, more than half of these things will end up in the pockets of the Khitans. Dong Dunyi was tongue-tied by Xia Pinggan's rebuttal. He was speechless. Sir, our Song dynasty is richer than any other country. Sir, you're even richer than the 4 seas. There are all kinds of rare treasures in the palace. What's so strange about some Goryeo trinkets? It's my birthday, and if that golden pagoda is really sent over, I'll feel disgusted if I see it. It's fine if I don't want it. Your Majesty, please don't lose sight of the big picture for the small, and let those Goryeo people's evil plan succeed and ruin the country's affairs. Following this, a woman with a great bearing slowly walked into the hall with the help of a few palace maids and eunuchs. Song Shinzong hurriedly got up from his seat and went to support her. Greetings, Empress Dowager. Dong Dunyi and Xia Pinggan hurriedly bowed. The woman who came in was the Empress Dowager of the Great Song dynasty. She was also one of Su Shi's hardcore fans. I heard that those Goryeo people were coming to celebrate my birthday and cause some trouble. I was just about to come over and tell you not to let those Goryeo people's evil plan succeed and take advantage of our Song dynasty because of my birthday celebration. I don't care about Goryeo people's things. I think that Lord Su is right. Our Song dynasty's books are filled with the blood, sweat, and wisdom of our predecessors. We can't let those Goryeo people steal them and give them to the Khitans. That's no different from giving to the enemy. When Xiaopingan heard this, he secretly gave this Empress Dowager of the Great Song a thumbs up. Su Shi's notes on the pros and cons of buying books from Goryeo. Chapter 540. This time, Lord Su's Ministry of Rites will be in charge of all matters related to the Goryeo envoy's tribute. All books related to divination, yin and yang, divination, military books, imperial edicts, current affairs, border machines, geography, and other types of books of our Great Song dynasty are strictly prohibited from buying them. There will be border inspectors everywhere who will strictly investigate this matter. If anyone is found to be trading forbidden books with Goryeo in private, they will be severely punished. The golden pagoda that Goryeo gifted to the Empress Dowager is not in line with the rules and cannot be distinguished from righteousness. The Empress Dowager nodded in satisfaction as she spoke. He waved his hand and said, "All right, this matter ends here. You may leave." Xiaopingan was about to say something when the world and the realm pearl shattered. In the secret chamber, Xiaopingan opened his eyes and saw that the divine power limit of his secret mandala had increased to 8,088 points. He couldn't help but shake his head and smile bitterly. This realm pearl was considered a perfect fusion. He had completed one of Su Shi's missions in the realm pearl. However, Xiaopingan still had many regrets. If the realm pearl had given him more time, he might have been able to change something. In real history, Su Shi had already seen the harm that the Goryeo envoy brought to the Song Kingdom when he was the Minister of Rites. He had made various efforts to protect the Song Kingdom's information security and interests and eliminate the Goryeo spies. However, the actual results were not optimistic. Many ministers and local officials didn't take this seriously. This was because in the second year, Su Shi's brother, Su Zhe, went to the Liao Kingdom and discovered that the books that the Song Kingdom prohibited the Goryeo from buying had already been sent to the Liao Kingdom by the Goryeo. Because the Khitans could kill the Goryeo people were the Khitans' dogs. They had been serving the Khitans. Almost all the Goryeo people and Goryeo envoys who came to the Song Kingdom were spies of the Khitans. They were spying on the Song Kingdom's various military officials. It was such a simple fact. In the entire Song Kingdom, only Su Shi had seen through the Goryeo people and made corresponding efforts and changes in his position. Many Song dynasty officials even thought that Su Shi was narrow-minded and didn't have the vision of a great nation. After Su Shi and Su Zhe were sent to Lingnan, Great Song's anti-Korean spies and their efforts to protect the country's information security came to an end. From then on, the Koreans became even more unrestrained in Great Song. What did the imperial court and the other officials do? In front of the Goryeo emissaries, the Song dynasty often used up a lot of resources to build all sorts of luxurious buildings. Every time Goryeo sent Great Song a tribute, Great Song would give Goryeo all sorts of gifts. The entire imperial court from top to bottom was immersed in the illusion of Goryeo's tributes, and they were quite pleased with themselves. Su Shi once wrote a poem to ridicule the imperial court's extravagance in order to receive the Gaoli emissaries, carrying the eaves flying and dancing outside the walls, mulberry bristles desolate with a catty axe. Bestowing Kuin Xie as a slave, I don't know if I can repay this person. While the Koreans were eating the food of Great Song, they were also smashing the pot of Great Song, sharing all sorts of information, books, and wealth they had obtained from Great Song with their enemies, the Khitans. To treat a bunch of white-eyed wolves like their ancestors, there was no justice in Great Song as long as it was not destroyed. Later on, the Khitans became the Jin people, and the Jin people could take the lives of the Koreans. The Koreans became the dogs of the Jin people and continued to harm Great Song. However, Great Song did not wake up and continue to spend money to raise a bunch of white-eyed wolves. Whoever could take the lives of the Koreans would be their dogs, and they would continue to do things that harmed China. This was Su Shi's conclusion of the Koreans, and it was also the law of history. Due to the large amount of national intelligence leaking out, the Great Song, Liao, and Jin were like transparent people in the long-term military conflict. There are no secrets to speak of. All of the Great Song's actions were completely known to the Khitans and Jin. The Khitans would quickly find out about the military matters discussed in Bianjing. As a result, the Khitans had tried to blackmail the Great Song on the negotiation table many times, and they all succeeded. The most serious time was when the Great Song's attack on Wexia failed. The information leak of the imperial court was so serious that Song Shinzong had to personally give an imperial edict to forbid officials from discussing the secrets of the imperial court with their friends and family. Although the imperial edict was given, it was not of much use. To put it bluntly, Great Song was the dynasty that failed the most in terms of anti-espionage and national information security. However, Su Shi was the only person in that era who saw how protecting the country's information security and anti-espionage would affect the fate of the country. Su Shi's clear-headedness, from a certain perspective, was not compatible with his surroundings in that era, and it was painful. In history, it was not until a year before the North Song was destroyed that Song Qinzong seemed to have discovered the true face of the Korean ambassadors. Song Qinzong, who was extremely bored, pinched his nose and ordered the Korean ambassadors to pay for themselves when they came to Great Song. The Great Song officials would not entertain the Korean ambassadors anymore. However, this clear-headedness came too late. 1,000 years later, when Su Shi arrived in Korea and got off the plane, he saw a group of Koreans wearing Han Chinese clothing and holding signs saying that Chinese clothing was also invented by the Koreans. Even Confucius became a Korean. Perhaps Su Shi would feel that history was about to repeat itself. This time, the ones who could take the lives of the Korean ruling class were no longer the Khitans and Jin people. Instead, it was the Korean people on the other side of the ocean. As for the Koreans, more than 1,000 years had passed, and they were still the same, always wanting to steal something from China. It only took 5 minutes to fuse with this realm pearl. Xiao Pinggan sat in the secret room for a while. Finally, he shook his head and left the secret room. Emily returned less than 3 hours after leaving the villa. Emily looked very excited when she returned to the villa. Xiao Pinggan happened to have some time and was cooking in the kitchen. Emily took off her coat and scarf and smelled the aroma of the food as she came to the kitchen. "Teacher, they told me to report tomorrow. I also saw a few female patrol members, and they were very easy to get along with. The patrol team also has an underground training ground that was modified from a shelter. You can practice firearms and all kinds of combat skills there." As she spoke, Emily looked at Xia Pinggan's expression and asked carefully, "I spar with them today. A few of the female patrol members wanted to learn my combat skills from me. Teacher, can I teach them the 7 styles technique that you taught me?" Xiao Pinggan smiled. "Of course." Emily walked over and suddenly kissed Xiao Pinggan on the cheek. "Thank you, Lu Owen." Xiao Pinggan was slightly stunned. Then he shrugged and smiled. Emily also pretended that nothing had happened, but in fact her little heart was pounding at night in the spiritual realm. A sky full of astral apparitions appeared in the sky again. After Xiao Pinggan entered the spiritual realm, he quickly locked onto 2 Polu's and Fong Lingshan's astral apparitions. Both of them had gone to bed very early tonight and were waiting for Xiao Pinggan's arrival. Xiao Pinggan had already flown into the sky and turned into a bright star. He entered his dreamland and created something with his mind. With the appearance of his mind, a Huaxin-style dojo floating in the sky appeared in his dreamland. For an intermediate spirit herder, creating something in his dream was a piece of cake. Outside the palace were clouds and cranes flying in the sky. Inside the dojo was a magnificent golden hall with white jade as the stairs. After building this palace, he waved his hand and pointed at the twinkling astral bodies in the void, summoning 2 Polu and Fong Lingshan. The 2 astral apparitions flew into the palace and instantly turned into 2 Polu and Fong Lingshan's figures. "Ah, where is this?" Polu looked at this magnificent palace and was shocked. "Is this also a dream? This is Old Tuesday. This is my dream." Xiao Pinggan smiled. "That's amazing. Fong Lingshan raised her head to look at the majestic and tall golden dragon pillar and the magnificent dome filled with paintings of deities and Buddhas. It feels so real. I didn't expect dreams to be so mysterious. Where's the Yinzhou? Xiao Pingan asked Tu Polu. I don't know. I especially told him to rest early tonight. That guy probably ignored it. He probably went to the Chinese community bar to pick up girls again and said he wanted to relax. Tu Polu said helplessly. Chapter 541. Inside Xiao Pingan's Dream Realm Palace, as Xiao Pingan performed the Enlightenment Secret Technique, one of the 64 relief sculptures on the huge pillar of the Sage Master Hall in the Xiaoping and Secret Mandala was activated. It turned into a red bead and instantly appeared on Xiao Pingan's palm. Xiao Pingan held the bead and gently placed it on Tu Polu's forehead. With a press of his hand, the red bead melted like ice and snow and fused into the Baihui acupoint on Tu Polu's forehead. It's done. Xiao Pingan's hand calmly left Tu Polu's forehead. Tu Polu blinked his eyes. Just now, he felt a cool sensation from the Baihui acupoint on his forehead. Something had entered his consciousness through the Baihui acupoint. Even in his dream, he could feel it extremely clearly. It was as if a tiny electric current had passed through. However, he couldn't tell what exactly had changed. It felt like nothing had changed. That's it. Why don't I feel any change? Tu Polu asked doubtfully. Brother, is this the secret technique that can help us fuse with the realm bead? Yes. You can only feel the change when you fuse with the realm bead. Now, go back and fuse with the realm bead that can summon the longsword. As long as you don't act on your own cleverness, you will definitely succeed, Xiao Pingan said to Tu Polu with certainty. Even with the Sage Master's enlightenment, it was impossible to fuse with a realm bead with a 100% success rate. For some realm beads, such as realm beads that involve fighting, the user had to have the ability to successfully fuse with them. As for the realm bead like the Carboat Seeking Sword, the main thing was that the user didn't act on his own cleverness. After completing the enlightenment for Tu Polu, Xiao Pingan completely understood what the Sage Master's enlightenment was all about. The Sage Master's enlightenment was actually using a bit of soul power to activate the relief sculptures on the huge pillar of the Sage Master Hall in the Secret Mandala. They would turn them into a consciousness seed and inject it into the depths of the other party's spirit body consciousness. Inside the relief sculptures were the Sage Master's experience and process of fusing with the realm bead sealed by the mystery of worlds. When the seed that was injected encountered the corresponding realm bead, it would sprout and manifest the Sage Master's experience of fusing with the realm bead. The effect was even better than the divine will crystal. It was the same as showing the other party how to fuse with the realm bead. After the other party fused with the realm bead, the seed's traces would also be like the realm bead. Under the influence of the mystery of worlds, it would vanish like a dream. Bubble. Even if the Sage Master successfully fused with the realm bead, they wouldn't know how they fused with the realm bead. Wood's spirit body would. And transferred these fragments as spirit body. These fragments as will's spirits consciousnesses, transferring will's spirit body as spirits. The fragments is will. S. This master. S. S is the S. He. S. This was the secret of sacred masters. Just now, when Xiao Pingan performed Tu Polu's head empowerment, the amount of soul force he expended was probably less than 1%. This bit of soul force was negligible to Xiao Pingan. When Xiao Pingan fused Tu Polu's, Fong Lingshan watched from the side with widened eyes. She didn't see through the mysteries at all. She originally thought that Xiao Pingan was helping them fuse with the realm bead because he had some kind of experience he could pass on to them. However, she never expected that Xiao Pingan would only wave his hand in front of her, a shining red bead appearing in his hand. That bead then entered Tu Polu's head, and then this process was already completed. Tu Polu had a stupefied expression, as if he didn't know what happened at all. How is it? Do you feel anything strange? Fong Lingshan asked Tu Polu. Tu Polu shook his head. He rubbed his shiny head with one hand and chuckled. Just now it felt like an ice-cold electric current surged into my head. Then there was nothing. Shan Shan, try it. I feel that it's even easier than an injection. Fong Lingshan nodded. She walked in front of Xia Pingan and said to Xia Pingan, all right, let me try. What Fong Lingshan obtained this time was a prison-etched ground realm bead. Fong Lingshan had never fused with this realm bead before. All right, Xia Pingan nodded. He waved his hand, and a red bead appeared in Xia Pingan's palm in the blink of an eye. As Xia Pingan placed his hand on Fong Lingshan's head, that red bead also entered Fong Lingshan's by Wei acupoint. Fong Lingshan felt the same as what Tupola said. She felt like an ice-cold electric current entered her head, and then it disappeared in the blink of an eye. She didn't feel anything else. After the fusion, Fong Lingshan blinked her eyes. That's it? Yes, you'll know when you go back and try it. Xia Pingan continued. Old too, Shan Shan, if you have any trustworthy relatives or friends who want to fuse with realm beads, you can introduce a business to me. I can help them fuse with realm beads and charge 2 realm beads. As the introducer, you can get 1 realm bead as a reward. I only need 1 realm bead. Of course, I want a rare realm bead. I don't want an ordinary realm bead. Ah, there's such a good deal. Tupola grinned. Why do I feel like we've been pulled into a multi-level marketing organization of summoners? It's just mutual benefit. Some people have realm beads, but don't have the method to fuse with them. I'm helping them to fuse with realm beads. It's also a contribution to the summoners of the human race. At the same time, I can get some resources for myself. As the middleman, you can also take the opportunity to get more realm beads and grow rapidly. Why not? That makes sense. Let's go back and try it first. If your method is really that amazing, I can introduce a business to you. Fong Lingshan rolled her eyes and said immediately, okay, you'll know if my method works after you go back and try it. After saying that, Xia Pingan waved his hand and the two disappeared. In the base building of the Committee of Order, Tu Palu woke up from his room at once. The dream just now was still very clear. Thinking of Xia Pingan's words, Tu Palu walked out of his bedroom and went to the cultivation room next door. After closing the door of the cultivation room, he took out his realm bead of engraved boat seeking sword and bit it before dripping a drop of blood onto it. This longsword realm summoning bead was very eye-catching and popular among summoners. It was just that the success rate of fusion was so low that it made one's hair stand on end. There was also a certain chance of death, so it was very difficult to fuse with. It was also because of his trust in Xia Pingan that Tu Pojiu was so straightforward. Ah, the sword fell into the water. The sword fell into the water. Tu Polu opened his eyes when he heard someone shouting beside him. He was sitting on a boat, which was crossing the river. Besides him, there were 7 or 8 other people on the boat. They were all looking at the river water beside Tu Polu. The river water was surging and bottomless. Tu Polu lowered his head and saw a treasured sword swaying like a silver snake in the water. When he saw it, the long sword had already sunk several meters into the water. As the boat was on the river's surface, it swayed twice before sinking into the water and disappeared. Given the location where the long sword fell into the water and the surrounding people's gazes, that long sword should be his. I'm in the realm of the realm bead of the long sword summoning tool. Do I have to jump into the water to get the long sword? Tu Polu instinctively wanted to jump into the water to get the long sword. However, at this moment, countless scenes suddenly flashed through Tu Polu's mind. In those scenes, Tu Polu saw the scene of Xia Pingan fusing with this realm bead. Xia Pingan didn't jump off the boat. Instead, he left a mark on the boat and said some ridiculous things like leaving a mark on the boat and waiting for the boat to reach shallow water to get the sword. Those scenes appeared in his mind like a stream of information. In less than a second, Tu Polu had seen the entire process of Xia Pingan fusing with this realm bead. Could it be that to fuse with this realm bead, one doesn't have to go into the water to get the sword, but have to be an idiot? Tu Polu stood blankly on the boat for a moment. His mind was in a mess. Sir, your treasured sword fell into the water, someone on the boat reminded him. Wow, that's a good sword. It actually fell into the water. I wonder if I can get it if I jump into the water to get it? Is he tired of living? Who dares to jump into such deep water? The surrounding people discussed animatedly. Tupolu finally came to his senses. Looking at the treasured sword that disappeared into the river in the blink of an eye, Tupolu felt around his body. After taking out a dagger, he also started to leave a mark on the boat. The treasured sword fell into the water from here. When the boat reaches shallow water, I'll go down and get the sword, Tupolu said awkwardly. The surrounding people stared blankly for a moment before bursting into laughter. The realm beads world shattered instantly. In the secret chamber, Tupolu opened his eyes at once. Looking at the time, it had been less than 3 minutes since he started fusing with the realm bead. He couldn't remember what had happened in the realm bead's world. However, in his secret mandala, he had already successfully fused with the realm bead just now. He had already grasped the technique to summon the long sword and increase the upper limit of his divine power by 10 points. CK, what's going on? I actually succeeded in fusing with the realm bead, and in such a short time. Tupolu became excited at once. In another secret chamber, almost at the same time, Fong Lingshan also opened her eyes. There was still astonishment in her eyes. She had also successfully fused with the dungeon realm bead just now. It only took her a few minutes. She couldn't remember what had happened in the realm bead. However, the process of fusing with this realm bead couldn't be any simpler. Although the mortality rate of fusing with this dungeon realm bead was low, the success rate of fusing with it was similarly low for ordinary summoners. Xiao Pingan waited in the spiritual realm for quite a while, but still didn't see Li Yunzhou's spiritual body appear. He couldn't help but curse inwardly. Forget about that guy. I'll deal with him next time. Chapter 542. Knock. Knock, knock. The crisp sound of knocking on the door drew Fong Lingshuan's attention away from the documents in front of her. Fong Lingxian looked at the clock on the table. It was already 11:40 p.m. She didn't know who was looking for her. She rubbed her forehead, got up, and walked to the door. When she opened the door, she saw Fong Lingshan standing outside. "Why aren't you asleep yet?" Fong Lingxian asked as she let her sister in and closed the door. "Aren't you awake too?" Fong Lingshan walked in and said when she saw that the lights in the study were still on. "There's one more document. I'll go to bed after reading it. We found a lot of things during this underground search. There's some information that needs to be summarized." Fong Lingxian said casually as she walked to the bar counter. She poured 2 glasses of bedtime wine and handed one to Fong Lingshan. "Sister, have you fused with the illusion realm pearl you got 2 years ago?" Fong Lingshan took the wine and suddenly asked. "Not yet." Fong Lingxian shook her head. She walked to the opposite side of Fong Lingshan and sat cross-legged on the sofa lazily. That illusion realm pearl is very useful, but it's not easy to find. Although the death rate of fusing with it is very low, the failure rate is very high. I heard that the Summoner clan in Huaxia has a high probability of fusing with this realm pearl. I was thinking of going to Huaxia to visit them and look for some opportunities to increase the success rate of fusing with it. Some Summoner clans have a high success rate of fusing with some realm pearls, but that's the result of their thousands of years of research and dozens of generations of experience. Unless you want to get married, why would they be willing to share their clan's secrets with you? I have to at least try. Fong Lingxian didn't have so many concerns in front of her sister. She rubbed her hair in annoyance and said helplessly, "I just feel that if I fuse with that illusion realm pearl rashly, it will basically fail. It's too wasteful. I'm a little unwilling." Fong Lingshan drank the wine and suddenly raised her head. "I have a way for you to fuse with it." Fong Lingxian couldn't help but laugh. "What way do you have? You don't have to worry about that. Give me the realm pearl of the black box you obtained last time, and you don't have to worry about the rest. If you want this realm pearl, just tell me. You don't have to beat around the bush. Since we were young, why wouldn't I give you what you wanted? Why would you lie to your sister? All right, go to bed early. Don't run around for the next few days. Who knows when another mission will come." Fong Lingshan opened the box and saw that it was indeed the black box realm pearl that her sister had obtained last time. Because no one could fuse with this black box realm pearl, her sister had kept it and didn't try to waste it. Elder sister, your younger sister owes him a huge favor for fusing with that illusory realm bead for you. You'll know about it later. You'll definitely thank me. Right, don't stay up late. Go to bed early tonight. Fong Lingshan put away the realm bead and winked at Fong Lingyin before leaving the room. After Fong Lingshan left, Fong Lingxian finished the wine in her cup and shook her head. She returned to the study and continued to read the document. She didn't take what Fong Lingshan said to heart at all, because in Fong Lingshuan's opinion, it was impossible. The method to increase the probability of fusing with the realm pearl was a secret. These secrets were strictly guarded by some summoner families or organizations with inheritances. How could it be so easy to obtain something that could be summarized after countless years of trial and error? Xiao Pingan had left the secret room and was about to wash up and sleep. Then, at this moment, the Committee of Order's Secret Service communication watch on his wrist vibrated slightly. He had received a message. See you in the People's Square now. The message was from Fong Lingshan. Calculating the time, Fong Lingshan's painted prison realm pearl should have fused. Why does she want to see me at this time? Xiao Pingan didn't know why Fong Lingshan wanted to see him, but he also knew Fong Lingshan's temper. As a colleague and friend, if it wasn't something important, she wouldn't contact him so rashly. Because the Secret Service communication watch used satellite signals, it could only transmit simple messages. It seemed that some things had to be said face to face. Xiao Pingan put on his clothes and walked out of the villa. The moment his figure disappeared with the illusion, he had already soared into the air and flew toward the People's Square in the 11th district. There were only a few lights in Paris at night. Although gunshots could be heard from time to time, compared to before the Doomsday Gang was destroyed, there were much fewer gunshots at night in Paris these days. It looked much more peaceful. After a short while, Xiao Pingan arrived above the People's Square and saw the military SUV parked on the road next to the People's Square. The lights in the SUV were on. Through the window, he could vaguely see Fong Lingshan's face. Xiao Pingan silently landed beside the SUV. He opened the door of the front passenger seat and directly got in the car. After closing the door with a bang, Xiao Pingan asked Fong Lingshan, Shan, what's the matter? Thank you in advance. My painted prison realm pearl has fused. Fong Lingshan looked at Xiao Pingan. Didn't you ask us to introduce a business to you? I found a business for you. Xiao Pingan was startled. He didn't expect Fong Lingshan to act so fast. Who is it? Fong Lingshan looked at Xiao Pingan with expectant eyes. Fong Lingxian, my sister. She wants to fuse with an illusion realm pearl. You should be able to help her, right? An illusion realm pearl? Of course, no problem. Xiao Pingan smiled. That was the painted prison realm pearl. Here, this is the reward for my sister. It's a black box realm pearl that no one can fuse with. I don't know what this black box realm pearl will fuse with. Is there any problem? Fong Lingshan said as she handed the box that Fong Lingxian had given her to Xiao Pingan. Even if there's a problem, you must help my sister. I owe you a favor. My sister has been wanting to fuse with that illusion realm pearl for a long time. Xiao Pingan took the box and opened it. He saw a pitch black and deep realm pearl in the box. There were only 3 characters in Xiaozhuan Emperor's Sword in the realm pearl. The moment he saw this realm pearl, Xiao Pingan couldn't help but quiver. He immediately recalled the domineering scene of immortal Mingyi summoning a majestic emperor and the majestic emperor slashing the celestial giant clam into pieces at the bottom of the sea. Chapter 543. Summoners had a lot of attacking methods, but the scene of Lord Mingyi summoning the Son of Heaven at the bottom of the sea was the most powerful single-target attack that Xiao Pingan had ever seen. That sword had the power to split heaven and earth, leaving a deep impression on him. Could this realm pearl be the one that Lord Mingyi used to summon the Son of Heaven with the sword? No matter what, this deal would definitely not be a loss. Okay, I'll take this job. Xiao Pingan took a deep breath, suppressed his excitement, and confirmed again, this black box realm pearl may be very precious. Are you sure you want to use this realm pearl as a reward? It's just a black box realm pearl. It's no big deal. My sister has had this realm pearl for many years, and there were a few times when she almost sold it for money. A realm pearl that can't be fused is completely useless to summoners. You can have it if you want, Fong Lingshan said indifferently. Okay, then I'll take it. Xiao Pingan put away the realm pearl of the Son of Heaven's sword. How did you introduce me to your sister? I didn't talk about you. I only said that someone can help her fuse with the illusion realm pearl. You can help her directly in her dream. My sister should be asleep at this time. It shouldn't be difficult, right? Xiao Pingan thought for a moment. That's not a problem. Only you and old two know that I'm back. When I see your sister in her dream later, I won't use my original appearance. I may wear a mask. If your sister asks me who I am, I'll tell her to call me Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang will be my code name in the future. If something like this happens again in the future, for safety reasons, I may not come to take the realm pearl in person. I'll let someone I summon do it. It's safer this way, and no one will suspect me. I see. We should be careful indeed. Fong Lingshan nodded. Suddenly, she thought of something. It's always troublesome to use the Secret Service communication watch to contact you often. It will inevitably leave some traces. By the way, can I contact you in my dream? This way, no one will know and it's convenient. No one will know. Xiao Pingan scratched his head. You're right. I don't have such ability for the time being. I may have it in the future. Let's talk about it later. Being able to sense the calling and prayers of other astral souls in the spiritual realm was the ability of a high-rank spirit master. Xiao Pingan was still a middle-rank spirit master, so he didn't have this ability yet. Once he became a high-rank spirit master, his ability would undergo a qualitative change, and he would be able to master many secret methods of the spiritual realm that only high-rank spirit masters could master. High-rank spirit masters could develop their own followers in the real world and grant them some special abilities. It's really exciting. All right, I got it. Be careful. Xiao Pingan nodded, then got out of the car and closed the door. Fong Lingshan watched from the rearview mirror in the car as Xiao Pingan walked a few steps toward the street behind the car. His figure melted into the darkness and finally disappeared completely. This guy is really getting stronger and stronger. I feel like he's not just in the 7th elemental realm. Fong Lingshan muttered softly. She started the car and drove to the Committee of Order Stronghold. If Xiao Pingan could help her sister fuse with the illusory realm bead, then she could also ask Xiao Pingan for help when she got her hands on the illusory realm bead. Thinking of this, Fong Lingshan felt that her future was full of hope. As long as she had the realm bead, she could continue to become stronger. The People's Square was not too far away from the Committee of Order Stronghold. It was only a few minutes' drive away. When Fong Lingshan arrived at the Committee of Order Stronghold, she parked the car and deliberately passed by Fong Lingyu's room. She found that the lights in Fong Lingyu's room were off. She guessed that she was asleep. Then, she returned to her room. Xiao Pingan returned to the villa without anyone noticing. As soon as he entered the underground secret room, Xiao Pingan took out the Son of Heaven's sword, realm bead, and looked at it. A bright smile appeared on his face. He could not help but clench his fists and cheer for himself. Asking Fong Lingshan and Old Two to introduce acquaintances to him was originally unintentional. Xiao Pingan did not have much hope before. He did not expect there to be results so quickly. Moreover, it was a huge gain. He actually obtained such a precious realm bead so effortlessly. It seemed that this pyramid scheme of developing summoners to go offline was indeed feasible. Other than Fong Lingyu, any summoner with a bit of wealth would definitely have a lot of realm beads. He definitely had some that he wanted to fuse with. If he could find such people around him, everyone would benefit from each other. He would be able to maximize the value of the Sage Master's ability and rapidly increase his strength. Xiao Pingan was very happy. He had not been so happy in a long time. After being happy alone for a while, Xiao Pingan did not forget Fong Lingshan's request. After putting away the realm bead and taking out a formation plate to protect the secret room, Xiao Pingan quickly entered the spiritual realm. Fong Lingyu was indeed asleep. Fong Lingyu's astral spiritual body was very easy to recognize. Xiao Pingan entered his dream. In the gorgeous palace that he created with his telekinesis, he revealed his figure and put on a golden mask on his face. Then, Xiao Pingan summoned Fong Lingyu's spiritual body. Fong Lingyu's sleep was deep and dreamless. However, in the blink of an eye, Fong Lingyu found herself in a strange dream. She was in a magnificent palace that was like a heavenly palace. A man wearing a golden mask and a black robe was standing in front of her. This dream is quite strange, Fong Lingyu thought. Fong Lingyin thought to herself. She knew that she was dreaming, but her consciousness was still quite clear. Are you Fong Lingyu? Xiao Pingan said, his voice rumbling in the palace, reverberating. His voice was majestic, but it was also filled with a mysterious aura. I'm Fong Lingyu. Who are you? Fong Lingyu looked at the gorgeous palace in front of her and felt strange. The details in the palace were too real and clear. She seemed to have never had such a clear and realistic dream before. You can call me Mr. Zhang. I heard that you want to integrate the illusory realm bead. Ah, how did you know? Your younger sister asked me to do you a favor. As Xiao Pingan spoke, he had already walked in front of Fong Lingyu. He stretched out his hand, and a red bead appeared in his hand. He reached out and touched Fong Lingyu's head. Even in a dream, Fong Lingyu instinctively wanted to avoid it. She would not be so intimate with a stranger. However, when Fong Lingyu wanted to avoid it, she found that her body was suddenly confined and she could not move at all. She could only watch this strange person in the dream touch her head with his hand. The glowing red bead in the strange person's hand suddenly sank into Fong Lingyu's head. Fong Lingyu felt the same as Tu Pu and Fong Lingshan before. She felt a cold electric current pouring into her head. She was instantly awake and trembled all over. This is a dream and not a dream. Don't tell anyone about what happened in this dream. Otherwise, it will bring unknown danger to you and your younger sister. After you wake up, you can integrate the illusory realm bead. Well, you can leave now. Xiao Pingan waved his hand gently, and Fong Lingyu disappeared from the palace. Fong Lingyu, who was lying on the bed in her room, suddenly opened her eyes. Her expression was still a little shocked. She reached out and touched the top of her head. There was nothing unusual there, but the feeling in the dream was too clear. Fong Lingyu let out a long sigh. This dream is too strange. Fong Lingyu shook her head and smiled bitterly. She mocked herself. Maybe I wanted to integrate the illusory realm bead so much that I actually had such a strange dream like a child. Fong Lingyu thought that she was just dreaming. Then she closed her eyes, changed her position on the bed, and continued to sleep. Xiao Pingan opened his eyes and walked out of the isolated underground secret room. He sent a message to Fong Lingshan with his Secret Service communication watch. The message only had 2 letters. Okay? After receiving Xiao Pingan's message, Fong Lingshan immediately went to her sister's door and began to knock. Fong Lingshan had just closed her eyes when she heard the sound of the door. Judging from the rhythm of the knocking, she knew that Fong Lingshan had come again. Fong Lingyu got up, put on her slippers, and opened the door. As expected, Fong Lingshan was standing outside the door like a night owl. She was in high spirits, and her eyes were shining. What's wrong with you tonight? Are you not going to sleep? If you don't sleep, I'll sleep. Women don't get enough sleep, so it's easy for them to have crow's feet. Fong Lingyu complained. Fong Lingshan suddenly squeezed in and closed the door. She looked around the room and lowered her voice. Sister, did Mr. Zhang come to see you? Fong Lingyu's eyes suddenly flashed after hearing Fong Lingshan's words. She felt as if she had been drenched with cold water from head to toe. She suddenly woke up and didn't feel sleepy at all. Which Mr. Zhang are you talking about? Fong Lingyin asked cautiously. Fong Lingshan smiled slightly. Of course, the one in your dream. How do you know? Fong Lingyu suddenly became nervous, and her face changed. Sister, don't be nervous. I met Mr. Zhang in my dream before. I didn't believe that there was such a magical secret method in the world that could invade other people's dreams. But after experiencing it, I have to admit that our understanding of the summoner's secret method is still too shallow. Fong Lingshan said with deep feelings. Mr. Zhang's identity is very mysterious. He means no harm to us. He should have enlightened you in your dream. Sister, You could try to integrate the illusion realm bead now, and you'll know. There should be no problem. Fong Lingyu was shocked. What the hell is going on? Just as Fong Lingxian began to fuse with the boundary pearl of fire beacon toying with vassals, Xiao Pingon returned to the secret underground chamber. After setting up everything, he began to drip a drop of blood onto the boundary pearl of the Emperor's sword. Fong Lingyu and Xiao Pingon were surrounded by the light cocoon of the realm bead for about half a minute. Chapter 544. Sir, please accept this 1,000 taels of gold. Zhao Dan begs you to save Zhao country. As soon as Xiao Pingon opened his eyes, he saw a handsome young man with 2 tufts of beard kneeling in front of him and solemnly bowing to him. The young man got up, but his face was still full of worry. 1,000 taels of gold were placed on the table in front of them. The table was covered in gold. Zhao Dan, King Zhao Xiaocheng. Sure enough, he had become Zhuangzi. Xiao Pingon was a little excited. He had guessed that this realm pearl was going to become Zhuangzi because the story of the Emperor's sword came from Zhuangzi. He did not expect it to be true. Zhuangzi was a big shot in Chinese culture. He was a figure who was on par with Laozi. Because of the many stories about Zhuangzi, the realm pearl was only named after the Emperor's sword. While thinking, Xiao Pingon smiled. Your Highness, you are too polite. Zhao country is now strong and powerful. They have Lin Xiangru, Lien Pe, Lord Pingyuan, Zhao Shi, and other officials supporting them. I really don't know why your Highness invited me to Handan and gave me so much gold. Zhao Dan really doesn't dare to disgrace you with this amount of money. This money is only for the fee of your entourage. Thank you for escorting you to Handan. Zhao Dan heard that you are wise and holy. How can this amount of money measure your great talent? It's just that Zhao country is in danger now. Zhao Dan also received advice from an expert. He said that only a wise and capable person like you can save Zhao country. Zhao Dan invited you to Handan and wanted to meet you. At this moment, Zhao Dan was extremely sincere in front of Zhuangzi. He was as respectful as a primary school student in front of his teacher. Oh, I wonder what kind of danger Zhao country is in that made your Highness so worried? Xiao Pingon asked. Sir, you took a carriage into the city before. Do you see anything different about Handan City now? Zhao Dan asked. Handan City is very prosperous, but I see a lot of people carrying swords on the streets. Xiao Pingon said. Exactly. Zhao Dan sighed. Zhao's biggest worry right now is the sword. To tell you the truth, my father has been obsessed with swordsmanship for the past 3 years, and is now recruiting 3,000 swordsmen in Handan. Every day, he is either practicing swordsmanship or watching swordsmen compete in swordsmanship. He has lost all interest in state affairs. Now, in Handan, there are people dying or being injured in the swordsmanship competitions every day. Everyone in Handan City is talking about swordsmanship, but they're not concerned about the state affairs at all. Servants from other countries come to Handan City to investigate. And when they see Zhao's situation, the surrounding vassals are already eyeing Zhao covetously. If this continues, Zhao will be in danger. That is why Zhao Dan sincerely asks Mr. to save Zhao. It would be best if Mr. could meet my father and ask him to stop this hobby of swordsmanship and focus on state affairs again. As he spoke, Zhao Dan once again bowed to Xiao Pingon. Xiao Pingon smiled and looked at his robe. That's easy. Your Highness, please dress me up as the swordsman your father likes, and take me to see your father. Zhao Dan was stunned. Looking at the sage-like Xiao Pingon, he hesitated for a moment. Would this be disrespectful to Mr.? The swordsman my father likes all have unkempt hair, protruding hair, low hat, thick tassels, tight clothes, and wide eyes. They don't like to talk and are brave and fierce. It doesn't matter. Just say that I am good at swordsmanship, and take me to see your father like this. Seeing Xiao Pingon's confident look, Zhao Dan immediately ordered his subordinates to prepare Xiao Pingon's outfit for a swordsman. It took 3 days for everything to be ready. Zhao Dan prepared an exquisite swordsman outfit for Xiao Pingon, a fitting swordsman uniform, a hat, and a sword. Then he sent someone to the palace to report to his father that he had brought a swordsman expert and wanted to enter the palace to show his swordsmanship to his father. King Zhao Huiwen had been watching the swordsman competition in the palace for the past 2 days. When he heard that the crown prince had found a swordsman expert for him, he immediately became interested and immediately agreed to let Zhao Dan take Xia Pinggan to the palace. Crown Prince Dan and Xia Pinggan sat in a carriage and directly entered the palace. After entering the palace of the Zhao kingdom, Xia Pinggan saw King Zhao Huiwen in the main hall. King Zhao Huiwen was actually an old acquaintance and was not a stranger. Xia Pinggan had already seen him when he merged with the returning the Jade to Zhao Kingdom Pearl. King Zhao Huiwen was wearing a royal robe and a crown with 9 heads on his head. He was very dignified. A crown with 12 heads was the Emperor of Zhou. Among the vassals, no one dared to let themselves wear a crown with 12 heads. After the crown prince's introduction, Xia Pinggan stood straight and had no intention of bowing. Zhao Dan watched from the side and kept winking at Xia Pinggan. He almost broke out in cold sweat. King Zhao Huiwen narrowed his eyes and looked at Xia Pinggan. "Why don't you bow when you see this king? I heard that the king likes swordsmanship. You should know that a true sword would rather break than bend. I cultivate my body with the sword and greet the king with my swordsmanship. There is no need for me to bow." King Zhao Huiwen heard this and was not angry. Instead, he became interested. He felt that Xia Pinggan was different from the swordsman he had seen before. "Oh, what realm has your swordsmanship reached? You actually dare to speak to this king like this?" "My swordsmanship has reached the realm of killing one person in 10 steps and not leaving a single trace for 1,000 miles. Killing one person in 10 steps and not leaving a single trace for 1,000 miles. King Zhao Huiwen was shocked. His eyes lit up, and he stood up from the throne. "Then wouldn't you be invincible? Tell me how you did it." The essence of swordsmanship is 12 words. Show it as a feint, open it as an advantage, launch it as an attack, and reach it first. When King Zhao Huiwen heard this, he seemed to have understood something. However, a so-called swordsman could not only talk, so he asked directly, "You are right. However, do you dare to compete with my swordsman on the spot?" "Of course." "Ha-ha!" King Zhao Huiwen laughed happily and said 3 good words. "Since that's the case, sir, you can go and rest for a few days. When I choose the strongest swordsman, I will come and compete with you." Zhao Dan once again brought Xia Pinggan out of the palace, his back drenched in cold sweat. Sitting in the carriage, Zhao Dan somewhat nervously asked Xia Pinggan, "Mister, the 3,000 swordsmen under my father's command are all sword experts of the state of Zhao. Mister didn't pay respects to my father in the main hall today, and even said that you could kill one person in 10 steps without leaving a trace. My father has already become competitive and wants to fight for the title of Invincible to dampen Mister's spirit. In a few days, he will definitely choose the strongest swordsman to compete with Mister. Those swordsmen are 1 in 10,000, and during the competition, they will all fight to the death. Killing can be done in the blink of an eye." Zhao Dan couldn't be blamed for being nervous. He originally thought that when he brought Xia Pinggan to the palace this time, he would be able to listen to Xia Pinggan's glib tongue and persuade his father. He didn't expect that Xia Pinggan had only said a few words in the palace this time, but his father was like a fighting cock and was directly provoked. He even wanted to choose experts to compete with Xia Pinggan in swordsmanship. As the saying goes, a monarch's words are not joking. How could this be a joke? "Your Highness, don't worry. We will see the result in a few days," Xia Pinggan said calmly. Seeing that Xia Pinggan was so confident, Zhao Dan could only listen to him. For the next few days, Xia Pinggan stayed in the residence that Zhao Dan had prepared for him, leisurely and carefree. On the other hand, Zhao Dan sent people to report to him every day, and those reports were all about how his father had arranged for the experts under his command to compete against each other, and who had been selected to spar with Xia Pinggan in the main hall. In order to select the experts to compete with Xia Pinggan, King Zhao Huiwen had already lost dozens of swordsmanship experts in Handan City in the past few days. In the past few days, the news that King Zhao Huiwen wanted to select swordsmanship experts to compete with an expert who could kill a person in 10 steps without leaving a trace in 1,000 miles spread all over Handan City. All the swordsmen went crazy over the news. After 7 days of selection, King Zhao Huiwen chose the 5 strongest swordsmen among his 3,000 swordsmen to compete with Xia Pingan in the palace. After the preparations were made, King Zhao Huiwen let Zhao Dan bring Xia Pingan to the palace again on this day. When they arrived at the palace again, the atmosphere in the palace today was particularly somber. The palace guards in armor were already in high spirits. King Zhao Huiwen had also prepared the arena for the competition in the main hall. Some ministers in the court heard that King Zhao was selecting swordsmen to compete with others for the title of Invincible Swordsman, so they also came. When Xia Pingan arrived at the palace, he saw that outside the main hall, there were already 5 swordsmen with swords waiting for him. The 5 swordsmen had different appearances. Some were arrogant, some were cold, and some were murderous. However, when they looked at him, their eyes were like swords, carrying an indescribable, sharp, killing intent. Sword intent surged all over their bodies. King Zhao Huiwen had selected these 5 people among his 3,000 swordsmen. There was no doubt that these 5 people were the top swordsmanship experts in the Zhao kingdom. Looking at the 5 swordsmanship experts, Xia Pingan sighed in his heart. These 5 people were also worthy of respect. Seeing that Xia Pingan had arrived on time, King Zhao Huiwen was very happy and excited. "Sir, can we start the competition?" "Yes. I don't know what style and length of sword sir needs. I have all of them here. My swordsmanship is the same for both long and short swords. However, I have 3 sword techniques here for your majesty to choose from. Please let me explain first before we start the competition." There were actually 3 sword techniques? King Zhao Huiwen was also suddenly interested. He curiously asked, "What are the 3 sword techniques that sir knows?" Xia Pingan looked around and said loudly, "My 3 sword techniques are the sword of the emperor, the sword of the marquis, and the sword of the commoners. Which sword would your majesty like to choose?" Hearing Xia Pingan's words, everyone was shocked. King Zhao Huiwen directly stood up from his seat. His attitude towards Xia Pingan suddenly became respectful. He asked, "I don't know what Sir's sword of the emperor is." The sword of the emperor, with Yin Creek Shurcheng as the edge, Qi and Dai as the edge, Jin and Wei as the spine, Zhou and Song as the core, Han and Wei as the pinnacle, with the 4 barbarians, with the 4 seasons, with the Bohai Sea, with the Changshan Mountains, with the 5 elements, with the morality of punishment, with the yin and yang, with the spring and summer, and with the autumn and winter. This sword is unparalleled in the front, unparalleled in the front, unparalleled in the bottom, and unparalleled in fate. Above the floating clouds, below the absolute earth. Once this sword is used, the marquis and the world will submit. This is the sword of the emperor, and the one who can use it is the emperor. Xia Pingan's voice resounded throughout the palace like thunder. The entire palace was silent for a moment. Everyone was shocked. Hearing this sword of the emperor, King Zhao Huiwen was absent-minded for a moment. His gaze looked outside the palace, somewhat blurred. It was as if he saw Shurcheng, Mount Tai, the Central Plains. After a long time, he finally recovered. "I don't know. What is Sir's sword of the marquis?" When he spoke again, King Zhao Huiwen's voice was different from before. There was a slight tremor, and there was a hint of bitterness. "The sword of the marquis, with the wise warrior as the edge, the honest warrior as the edge, the virtuous warrior as the spine, the loyal warrior as the core, and the unyielding warrior as the pinnacle. This sword is unparalleled in the front, unparalleled in the top, unparalleled in the bottom, and unparalleled in fate. The upper law, the round sky, the 3 lights, the lower law, the square earth, the 4 seasons, and the people's will, the 4 villages. Once this sword is used, it is like the shock of thunder. Within the 4 kingdoms, there is no one who does not obey the emperor's orders. This is the sword of the marquis. In today's great struggle, the marquis will fight to use it." The palace was silent again. After a while, King Zhao Huiwen opened his mouth again. His voice had become softer, as if he had lost something. "What is teacher's sword of the commoners?" Xia Pingan smiled slightly. "The sword of the commoners, the unkempt hair, the drooping crown, the manhu tassels, and the short back clothes, is difficult to speak of. Striking at the front, the upper part cuts the neck, the lower part cuts the liver and lungs. This sword of the commoners is no different from a cockfight. Once one's life is gone, there is no use in the affairs of the state. Today, the king has the throne of the emperor and likes the sword of the commoners. I have chosen it for the king. Hearing Xia Pingan's words, the 5 swordsmen chosen by King Zhao Huiyuan looked at each other. They all lowered their heads and remained silent. They did not dare to look at Xia Pingan again. When King Zhao Huiyuan heard this, his face was full of shame. He personally walked down from the throne and held Xia Pingan's hand as they walked into the main hall. He quickly ordered his subordinates to prepare good food and wine to entertain them. Teacher's words today are like the evening drum and morning bell, waking me up. Thank teacher for teaching me. Thank teacher for teaching me. Because he was too excited, King Zhao Huiyuan paced around the main hall. He walked around the manor 3 times, but he did not know what to say. Xia Pingan smiled slightly. My king, please sit down and calm down. I have finished my report on the matter of swordsmanship. It is up to my king to decide what to do. Zhao Dan personally sent Xia Pingan out of the palace. Sitting in the carriage, Zhao Dan was extremely excited. He was too happy. He already respected Xia Pingan as if he was a god. It was not an exaggeration to say that the words spoken in the manor hall just now were equivalent to saving the Zhao kingdom from a great disaster. Teacher's words about the sword of the emperor are deafening. Dan has also benefited greatly. I asked teacher to stay in Handan for a few more days and let Dan entertain teacher well. If teacher has any other requests, feel free to ask. I will definitely satisfy them. Xia Pingan looked in the direction of the palace. Just now, King Zhao had warmly entertained him in the palace. As for the 5 swordsmen chosen by King Zhao, who were originally going to compete with him, no one cared about them anymore. Although Xia Pingan did not know the names of the 5 swordsmen, they were people he truly admired. Their character and integrity made one sigh with emotion. They were true swordsmen. In the story of Zhuangzi's swordsmanship, the one that Xia Pingan truly admired, other than Zhuangzi, was not King Zhao Huiyuan or Zhao Dan, but those swordsmen who had committed suicide after realizing the greater good. Xia Pingan's face did not have the slightest trace of happiness. Instead, he sighed, Your Highness, the 5 swordsmen that His Majesty selected before were all loyal and righteous men. After listening to my words, they were all ashamed and did not dare to look at me again. In order not to delay the king and the Zhao Empire, I'm afraid that they have already committed suicide. Among the 3,000 swordsmen before His Majesty, I'm afraid that many of them have committed suicide. They used their own lives to make the king cut off his love for the swords of the commoners. Such strength of character is admirable. Your Highness, please give the 1,000 taels of gold that you rewarded me to their families and give them a proper burial. Bury them with their swords and build a tomb for them. Zhao Dan was also stunned. He did not expect Xia Pingan to make such a request. Teacher, rest assured, I will definitely do as you say. Zhao Dan nodded seriously. A few days later, on a hillside outside Handan City, there were hundreds of new graves. Among them, 5 are particularly eye-catching. These were the swordsmen who committed suicide under King Zhao after realizing their righteousness. Xia Pingan personally brought 2 carriages of good wine to the graves to pay their respects. Zhao Dan also brought many attendants with him. Looking at the new graves, Xia Pingan's heart surged. He pulled out his long sword and sang in front of the graves for the righteous swordsmen. With a sword in hand, Xia Pingan's body moved with the sword. The sword light was like a dragon. It was true that he killed 1 person every 10 steps. He did not stop for 1,000 miles. The people around him looked at each other in shock. In the sword light, Xia Pingan's voice was bleak and vast, resounding among the graves. My friend has a treasured sword. We are as close as friends. I hand it over with glue and paint. We drink together in the hall. The wine reveals the liver and gallbladder. I hate that I can't cut open before my eyes. I sing the song of Jingqing loudly. I strike wildly. I strike back and sing even more. I drink even more and live longer. The white rainbow flies up and roars from the green snake box. I smell something strange. I suspect it is a puppet. I pray for you again. Can you see the divine object? What you say is important to me. I will take it for you. I have burned incense in the box. I am close to the scabbard. I draw the blade inch by inch. I bend the elbow. I kill the frost on the front. The moon is near. I patrol and leap. I am shocked left and right. Thunder and lightning fill the room. The flood dragon walks around. I cry for it. I have not seen this sword for a long time. When it is cast, it is broken near the mountain. It is hidden in the pine and osmanthus. You are buried at the bottom of the prison. The deity is guarding the heart of the water. It was originally quenched in mud. It is not the thunder. I want to comment on the sword art. I hope you will listen. The sword can bite the rhinoceros. The sword can cut Xiongjiao. The sword art is in the clouds. The sword fights in the sun. The sword is in the belly of the demon snake. The sword strokes the head of the courtier. At the beginning of the archaic era, King Wu personally attacked Zhou. Yin Dan rolls the map. Chun Pingwan is a flower ribbon. It was once pierced by the branches of the osmanthus. It was once used to cast agricultural tools. The divine object finally changed. It became a dragon mound. At the end of the Jin dynasty, the armory was burned. In order to sweep away the crowd, it scattered like a broom. When one loses one's place, heroes and heroes are together. Who cast it today? It will be 1,000 years later. Since it is not the ancient style, it is not the near Crow 9. I travel with you. My life is full of myself. Kuang Qing's sword is drawn. It is heavy with ambition. How strange is this sword? How thick is this heart? I advise you to use it carefully. Do not use it carelessly. A hidden general can ward off evil spirits. Do not guard against concubines. Stay to kill the flood dragon. Do not test the dog on the street. You are trapped in the mud. I'm also trapped in the dust. Vulgar ears shock big words. Do not open your mouth when you meet people. When Xia Ping'an was wielding his sword, a gust of wind suddenly rose, and the sun and moon lost their light. The gust of wind blew the pines on the mountain like waves, the streams whimpered, and the sand and stones flew. In a mountain ridge, there was the sound of ghosts wailing and wolves howling, which resounded in all directions. Gusts of swirling sand mixed with pine needles and fallen leaves from the mountain ridge flew around Xia Ping'an, accompanying his sword. It was as if Xia Ping'an was practicing swordsmanship with him. In the song, Xia Ping'an rose into the air. On the cliff next to the swordsman's tomb, he left words in the air. Under the flying stone chips, 5 big words appeared on the cliff. Tomb of the Swordsman of Huaxia. After the song, the memorial ceremony was over. The long sword in Xia Ping'an's hand shook. The long sword in his hand broke into pieces and turned into nothingness. The world of the Realm Pearl also shattered at the same time. The new divine power was a total of 95 points. Xia Ping'an's body once again went through the process of surging divine power pouring into his body. When everything calmed down, there was an additional golden relief sculpture in Xia Ping'an's secret mandala. In the middle of the relief sculpture was the Son of Heaven holding a sword. The image of the Son of Heaven was exactly the same as the majestic Son of Heaven that Xia Ping'an had seen when true Lord Mingyi had summoned the Son of Heaven's sword. Under the command of the Son of Heaven, there was an army of swordsmen led by 5 swordsmen. The Son of Heaven, the 5 swordsmen, and the army of swordsmen were all brilliant and could be summoned. This time, it seemed to be a breakthrough fusion. Other than the Son of Heaven's sword, there was also the commoner's sword. Ordinary people who fused with the Son of Heaven's sword would only have 1 summoning slot. They would not be able to summon other swordsmen. Chapter 545 Slash. Xia Ping'an roared angrily as he flew up and slashed out with his sword. The horseshoe beetle that was pouncing down dissipated in the brilliance of the demon-slaying sword and turned into ashes. The other horseshoe beetle saw that something was wrong and wanted to escape, but it was too late. Although it had already flown hundreds of meters, a stream of light from the demon-slaying sword flew over and was easily killed by Xia Ping'an. The soul powers of the two horseshoe beetles flew toward Xia Pingon like fireflies and were absorbed by him again. The demon-slaying sword that flew back to Xia Pingon's hand. Xia Pingon drew his sword and looked around. The ground of the spirit world was filled with fog, and the surroundings were plains and wilderness. After a night of cleaning, there was not a single horseshoe beetle in the sky above him. Furthermore, the sky was already faintly showing a hint of green, and the starlight in the sky was gradually fading. This meant that the outside world was about to brighten, and more people were waking up and leaving their dreams. On a distant hillside, the outline of a building could be vaguely seen amidst the fog. Xia Pingon did not hesitate and ran toward the building in the distance. This was the 7th day after Xia Pingon fused with the son of Heaven's Sword Realm bead. During these 7 days, Xia Pingon, the Committee of Order, and the Dragon team carried out another mission a few days ago. They searched a place in Paris where nuclear materials might be hidden. It was an abandoned convent where the Doom Gang had previously engaged in abnormal activities. The mission this time was very easy. They did not encounter any obstacles, but they did not gain anything. They did not find any nuclear materials in the abandoned convent. They only found the corpses of a few murdered priests and nuns in the basement of the convent. They had been sacrificed by the demon eye. When Xia Pingon and the others found the basement of the convent, the corpses were already highly rotten and covered in maggots. The situation was really uncomfortable, and in the end, they could only burn them with a fireball. After this mission, the Committee of Order and the Dragon team did not have any other missions for the time being, so Xia Pingon stayed in Emily's villa. However, although Xia Pingon was in the villa, he was not idle these few days. As long as he was free, he would enter the spirit world and eliminate the horseshoe beetles and zombies in the spirit world, constantly consolidating his soul power. At the same time, he was also working hard to become a high-level spirit herder. To become a high-level spirit herder, it depended on the number of astral spirits he protected. After a few days, almost all the horseshoe beetles in the spirit world around Paris were wiped out by Xia Pingon, and Xia Pingon's soul power increased sharply again. It was worth mentioning that a few days ago, Xia Pingon found time to complete an empowerment for Li Yunzhou in the spirit world, and help Li Yunzhou fuse with an old horse knows the way realm bead. Now, Li Yunzhou, Tu Pelu, and Feng Lingshan knew his identity. At that time, Li Yunzhou even thought that the Xia Pingon who appeared in his dream was a ghost and was frightened. Although Li Yunzhou was sometimes a little wretched and funny, he was still a trustworthy partner when it came to business, so Xia Pingon was not worried at all. After Li Yunzhou knew that Xia Pingon could help people fuse with realm beads, and that the person who introduced him could also get a realm bead commission, he became excited and was very interested, shouting that he wanted to introduce business to Xia Pingon. The business between Xia Pingon and the Dragon Group was also going smoothly. Chun Zhongming sent photos of realm beads that could be traded from China. Xia Pingon chose 3 of the rare realm beads to trade with the Dragon Group. The 3 realm beads were priced at 900 million renminbi in exchange for 30 bottles of body-strengthening pills refined by Xia Pingon. The reason why the 3 realm beads were priced at 900 million renminbi was not only because the price of various realm beads on Earth had soared in the past 2 years, but also because Xia Pingon had his eyes on one of the realm beads. That realm bead was priced at more than 800 million renminbi on Earth, while the other 2 realm beads added up to less than 100 million renminbi. The realm bead that Xia Pingon had his eyes on was the Earth Escape Technique. Ever since he saw the Earth Escape Technique of the Flame Rhinoceros, Xia Pingon had been eyeing this powerful technique for a long time, but he did not expect to encounter it on Earth. Naturally, he was determined to get it. In these 2 days, the Dragon Group would transport the 3 realm beads to Paris and complete the transaction with Xia Pingon. To be honest, Xia Pingon could not wait. Except for the Committee of Order and the Dragon Group, who were looking for the nuclear materials hidden in Paris, Paris was not calm these days. Undercurrents were surging, and it was very restless. The effect of the meeting between Xia Pingon and the chairman of the People's Front, Mr. Curie, began to manifest. In these 2 days, almost all the gangs and forces in Paris were on the move, searching everywhere for the nuclear materials hidden in Paris. No one dared to be careless about this kind of thing, because it was related to the lives of these Parisian local gangsters. No one wanted to sleep in a city where nuclear explosion or nuclear contamination could happen at any time. The restlessness of these Parisian local gangsters even made Emily, who had just joined the community patrol team, busy. These days, Emily's patrol team was assigned a radiation detector. The patrol team took the radiation detector and checked every house in the community of Pierrefitte, even the basements and kennels. They were conducting a carpet search. Xiao Pingan was very fast, and it did not take long for him to arrive at the hillside in the distance. A completely abandoned spirit husbandry castle stood there. The spirit husbandry castle was broken beyond recognition, and all the buildings had collapsed. The rocks that built the castle were weathered, and it looked very old. As if sensing the aura of life, two skinny green-skinned puppets with green skin, pointy ears, and abnormally large heads suddenly crawled out from the cracks of the ruins of the spirit husbandry castle. They screamed strangely and rushed towards Xiao Pingan. With a slash of the sword, the heads of the two puppets flew up, and two wisps of black gas flew out of their bodies and dissipated. The bodies of the green-skinned puppets turned into sand in the blink of an eye, and the remaining two golden soul power flew into Xiao Pingan's body like streams flowing into the sea. There was nothing else in the surroundings that was an eyesore. I wonder what the spirit realm was like in the past. Elder Mu said that it was like heaven, full of life, but now... Xiao Pingan shook his head. Just then, Xiao Pingan felt the Secret Service Tactical Communications watch on his doppelganger vibrate slightly, and he received a message. A moment later, Xiao Pingan's spirit body returned to his doppelganger. Xiao Pingan lay on the bed in his bedroom and raised his left hand. On his left hand were two Secret Service Tactical Communications watches from the Committee of Order and the Dragon Group. The message was from the Secret Service Tactical Communications watch of the Dragon Group. It was a message from Chen Zhongming, and there was only one sentence in it. The goods have arrived. Xiao Pingan was immediately energized. Chapter 546. When the first ray of the morning sun shone on the 11th District Committee of Order's stronghold building, Xiao Pingan had already arrived and was in Chen Zhongming's room. On the table in front of Xiao Pingan were 3 standard metal equipment boxes containing realm pearls. The boxes even had the emblem of Huaxia's Dragon Group on them. The 3 brand new realm pearls were lying in the boxes. Chen Zhongming smiled and sat opposite Xiao Pingan. In front of the two of them, there were 2 cups of steaming coffee. This morning, the domestic flight just arrived in Paris. These are the 3 rare realm pearls that were just sent from China. Mr. Luo, and you could take a look at them. By the way, the money and pills that Mr. Luo entrusted me to send to China have been safely sent to Mr. Luo and his parents by the Dragon Group. This USB flash drive contains the video of Mr. Luo and his parents receiving the items and what they said to you. Chen Zhongming said as he pushed a small silver USB flash drive in front of Xiao Pingan. The video was more convincing and harder to fake. It was much more reliable than writing a letter. The Dragon Group's work was indeed watertight. Thank you. Knowing that the Dragon Group was trying their best to rope him in, Xiao Pingan was not in a hurry to watch the video. Instead, he picked up the Realm Pearl of the Earth Escape technique with one hand and looked at it with a vivid expression. This Realm Pearl of the Earth Escape technique was a little different from all the Realm Pearls that Xiao Pingan had seen before. Although he had seen the image of this Realm Pearl before, it was different when he held it in his hand and looked at it closely. In this Realm Pearl of the Earth Escape technique, apart from the 3 Xiaozhuan characters of the Earth Escape technique, the most special thing about it was that a small person with an ashen face could be clearly seen appearing in the Realm Pearl from time to time. The small person in the Realm Pearl was very lifelike. Every time it appeared for a few seconds, it would look around for a while before lowering its body and disappearing into the Earth's surface. At first glance, it looked like a small person was sealed in this Realm Pearl. It also looked like a 3D miniature animation. The other Realm Pearls did not have such a lifelike figure. Xiao Pingan was also confused about how to integrate this Realm Pearl. Could it be the secret orbit Realm Pearl? Mr. Luoan has a good eye. This is a mythical realm pearl. Once you fuse with this realm pearl, you'll be able to master the powerful and mysterious Earth escape technique. Qin Zhongming explained to Xia Pingan when he saw how curious Xia Pingan was about the realm pearl. Qin Zhongming's words caused Xia Pingan's heart to tremble. Qin Zhongming actually knew that this realm pearl could escape through the earth, which meant that someone had fused with this realm pearl before. And this realm pearl was not a black box realm pearl. Mythical realm pearl? Xia Pingan looked at Qin Zhongming in confusion. You can see these vivid images on the realm beads. They have all kinds of special abilities, just like the realm beads of the mythical figures in the legends. We all call them mythical realm beads. Mr. Luo, and have you never seen this kind of realm bead before? Xia Pingan shook his head. I haven't been a summoner for long. I really haven't seen it before. The mythical realm pearl is indeed very rare. It's almost one of the rarest realm pearls. It's normal that Mr. Luo and hasn't seen it before. Mythical realm pearls are difficult to integrate, but you won't lose your life if you fail. At most, you'll lose a little divine power. This is the biggest difference between the mythical realm pearl and other realm pearls. It's because of this that this mythical realm pearl is priced at more than 800 million renminbi. Qin Zhongming explained. Team leader Qin knows the ability of this realm pearl. Has someone in China fused with this realm pearl before? Of course. In the history of China, this realm pearl has been fused 3 times. The most recent record of fusing with this mythical realm pearl was 360 years ago. The summoner who fused with this realm pearl can master the secret art of escaping through the earth. They can come and go underground without a trace. It's incredible. In the past 300 years, although there have been people trying, it seems that no one has succeeded. No one has been able to figure out the method of fusing with the mythical realm pearl. If Mr. Luoan is interested, you can give it a try. Using 1 billion to 800 million to bet on a small and almost negligible chance of success. Even billionaires couldn't afford such a waste, let alone summoners. Qin Zhongming admired Xia Pingan for spending so much money to buy this realm pearl to fuse with. The first time they traded with Xia Pingan, they used the realm pearl to exchange for elixirs. The dragon team was also very sneaky. They didn't take out too many realm pearls for Xia Pingan to choose from. The few realm pearls that the dragon team took out were those that were extremely valuable, but had a low success rate of integration. Among those realm pearls, Xia Pingan really chose this mythical realm pearl. The dragon team felt that they had made a profit, since there were people in history who could integrate with it, and they wouldn't die if the integration failed. Xia Pingan was relieved. In the other 2 boxes, there were 2 realm pearls. They were the Orphan of Zhao realm pearl and a Rise to Dance realm pearl. After integrating with the Orphan of Zhao realm pearl, one could master the substitution technique. The first time Xia Pingan saw this realm pearl was when Yin Duo took him to broaden his horizons. At that time, the bid of this realm pearl was already 12 million yuan. In the past few years, the price of this realm pearl had increased by almost 5 to 6 times. In comparison, the Rise to Dance realm pearl was like a cheap accessory given to him by the dragon team. This time, there were 3 realm pearls, and 2 of them could be used to escape at a critical moment. There was no other way. Xia Pingan was now being chased by strong experts. When there was an opportunity, he had to prepare more trump cards for himself to escape. After putting away the 3 realm pearls on the table calmly, Xia Pingan waved his hand, and 30 bottles of body-strengthening pills appeared on the table. Leader Chun, here are 30 bottles of body-strengthening pills. The quality is the same as before. There were 180 body-strengthening pills in each bottle, for a total of 5,400 pills. A bottle of body-strengthening pills could completely transform a person. The bottles of body-strengthening pills were made by the craftsmen in the secret mandala under Xia Pingan's orders. They were made by polishing the bones of demon rats. Each bottle of body-strengthening pills carried a kind of vicissitudes of life. After this transaction, there were only a few bottles of body-strengthening pills that Xia Pingan had received from demon rats' corpses. Qin Zhongming looked at the bottles of body-strengthening pills on the table. Without any hesitation, he took a bottle of body-strengthening pills and opened it. He poured out a few body-strengthening pills for inspection. After seeing that the body-strengthening pills in the bottle were of the highest quality, he nodded with a smile on his face. With a wave of his hand, he put away the 30 bottles of body-strengthening pills. Mr. Luo, and if you have any more body-strengthening pills to sell, you're welcome to trade with us at any time. Last time, we got so many demon rats' corpses by chance. I'm afraid it won't be easy to find so many demon rats' corpses again. There are still demon rats in some places in China that haven't been completely eradicated. After this incident in Paris, if Mr. Luo and wants to exterminate demon rats, the Dragon Group can arrange for you. At this moment, Xiaoping's mind had already flown to the realm pearls that he had just received. He couldn't wait to go back and start to integrate them. Chapter 547. After chatting with Chen Zhongming for a while, Xiaoping said goodbye and left. As soon as he walked out of the building, Xiaoping saw Li Yunzhou at the corner of the street outside the building, winking at him. Obviously, Li Yunzhou wanted to talk to him about something. Xiaoping walked toward him. Tupo Lu and Feng Lingshan both knew Xiaoping's identity, but in order to avoid being suspected of their relationship, they deliberately kept a distance from Xiaoping and didn't get too close to him. After experiencing Mr. Zhang's empowerment, Feng Lingshan looked at Xiaoping a little strangely these days. She should have some doubts, but she couldn't find any flaws, so she could only keep it in her heart. She asked Feng Lingshan who Mr. Zhang was, but Feng Lingshan only said that she had never met him. As for the realm pearl that Feng Lingshan took out, Feng Lingshan only said that it was taken away by a summoner. It was too strange to be able to help people fuse the realm pearl with empowerment in their dreams. Once the outside world knew about it, it would probably cause a great uproar. That mysterious Mr. Zhang would probably become the target of public criticism, so Feng Lingshan didn't ask any more questions. In fact, she also had a little bit of selfishness. If Mr. Zhang was exposed, it would be difficult for her to fuse the strange realm pearl with Mr. Zhang's help in the future. Everyone had their own selfish motives, and summoners were no exception. No one would want to make a fuss and let the world know about such an opportunity. Therefore, Mr. Zhang had become a tacit understanding in everyone's hearts. Xiaoping walked to the corner of the street, winked at Li Yunzhou, and asked directly, "Mr. Li Yunzhou, what can I do for you?" Li Yunzhou was slightly stunned, but immediately reacted. Since Xiaoping called him that, it meant that it wasn't safe for them to talk now. He was smart and immediately said in a low voice, "I heard that Mr. Luo has some top-grade body-strengthening pills. I wonder if you can give me some. I want to buy a bottle for my friend." "Sorry, I just finished a deal with Team Leader Chun of the Dragon Group. I gave almost all the body-strengthening pills I have to Team Leader Chun. There aren't many left," Xiaoping said directly. Li Yunzhou looked disappointed, but his eyes wandered, and he said again, "As long as there are demon rats, can Mr. Luo refine body-strengthening pills?" "Yes, that's right. I know where there are demon rats near Paris. If Mr. Luo is interested, we can find a place to talk and cooperate outside of the mission. I know a good tavern in Paris not far from here." "It is not far from here." Xiaoping looked at his watch. "I only have 20 minutes. "No problem. Let's drive there. We'll be there soon." The two of them talked for a while. Li Yunzhou took out the key in his hand and pressed it. A bright green sports car started automatically and slowly drove over from the side of the road. It stopped in front of the two of them and opened the door. Li Yunzhou and Xiaoping got in the car. The sports car roared and ran away in the blink of an eye. For a summoner, a sports car worth several million was only the value of a very ordinary realm pearl. It was just a toy, nothing more than a drizzle. Li Yunzhou had just arrived in Paris for a few days, and he had already gotten one from God knows where. After the sports car disappeared, a yellow butterfly flew up from the vines on the wall where the two of them were just now. The butterfly flapped its wings twice and disappeared into the flowers outside the building in the blink of an eye. On a window of the building, Minister Yin, who was wearing old-fashioned glasses, touched his chin and looked in the direction where the sports car disappeared. He revealed a thoughtful look. Just now, Luo and completed a deal with Chun Zhongming of the Dragon Group. 30 bottles of the best quality body-strengthening pills in exchange for 3 realm pearls. It seems that Luo and doesn't reject the Dragon Group. I think it's not bad for us to let the summoner of the Committee of Order contact Luo and more. Fong Lingxian said softly, standing beside Minister Yin. It seems that Luo and needs the realm pearl very much. He hasn't fully revealed his strength until now. Minister Yin turned his head and looked at Fong Lingxian. It's very difficult for such an expert to be completely recruited by one party. The price is too high. I guess the Dragon Group is also evaluating it. It's very difficult for the system to be completely balanced. Yes, I guess Mr. Luo and also knows that instead of completely leaning to one side, he can maintain the identity of a free man and make deals with both sides. Everything is clearly priced. For him, this is the choice that maximizes his benefits. Fong Lingxian added. Minister Yin nodded. It's indeed very reassuring to cooperate with such a person. After the two talked about work for a while, Fong Lingxian suddenly changed the topic. Ahem. I heard that Minister Yin obtained a Truth Realm Pearl half a year ago, but it hasn't been integrated? After changing the topic to personal matters, Minister Yin was slightly stunned. Then, he nodded and his expression relaxed. Yes, that's right. The spell of that Truth Realm Pearl is very helpful in interrogating ordinary people. It can make people tell the truth. Even if the integration fails, they won't die. It's just that the success rate of the integration is only 30%. I haven't made up my mind yet. If the integration fails, it would be a pity to waste it. I know a friend. He might be able to help Minister Yin integrate that Truth Realm Pearl. Fong Lingxian said with a serious expression. Even though Minister Yin had always been solemn and serious, when he heard this, as a summoner, he was overjoyed. His eyebrows knitted and his eyes lit up. There's such a person. Which family does your friend belong to? I know that some families do indeed know the secrets of integrating some Truth Realm Pearls. It's just that they usually don't tell outsiders. Minister Yin, the identity of the friend I know is a secret. Actually, I don't know his true identity. However, I've seen his abilities before. Moreover, he's trustworthy. Then what are the conditions for your friend to help me integrate this Truth Realm Pearl? Minister Yin asked. Fong Lingxian blinked her beautiful big eyes and raised 2 fingers. He needs 2 rare Truth Realm Pearls as a reward. There was no need to hesitate too much when it came to deceiving the leaders. Anyway, Minister Yin definitely had something up his sleeves. If she could earn a difference in the price of 1 Truth Realm Pearl by acting as a middleman, then wouldn't she be able to make up for the Truth Realm Pearl that she lost last time? Fong Lingxian thought happily in her heart. 2 rare Truth Realm Pearls, that's not a lot. Minister Yin was also stunned for a moment. He touched the stubble on his chin and immediately felt relieved. For summoners, using Truth Realm Pearls as a reward was the most common method. He didn't think too much about it. If someone could really help him integrate that Truth Realm Pearl, 2 rare Truth Realm Pearls as a reward wasn't excessive. He also had some Truth Realm Pearls that were difficult to integrate. However, what if the integration doesn't succeed? If the integration doesn't succeed, he will return the 2 Truth Realm Pearls to you and compensate you with a rare Truth Realm Pearl. Minister Yin was immediately relieved when he heard this. If someone dared to compensate him with a rare Truth Realm Pearl if the integration didn't succeed, then that person was really capable. Otherwise, those scammers would have a 30% chance of success by pretending to be mysterious and didn't need to take any risks. If an experienced person like him were to fall for such a trick, then he would become the joke of the Committee of Order. Lingxian, can you arrange for me to meet that friend of yours? Minister Yin asked eagerly. Minister Yin, I'm very sorry. That friend of mine won't meet anyone he hasn't met before. He's very careful and won't easily come into contact with strangers. He will only send messages through people he knows. If he doesn't meet me, then how can he help me? This process is also confidential. As long as he receives the Truth Realm Pearl, he will take the initiative to contact you. Minister Yin. I'm the middleman. Fong Lingshuan's face was serious. I happen to have 2 rare truth rel pearls here. I'll have to trouble you to contact that friend of yours, Ling Xian. Minister Yin nodded his head in satisfaction and smiled warmly. Ling Xian, it seems that you've made some achievements in France all these years. You've even discovered such an extraordinary person who can serve the Committee of Order. Not bad, not bad. I have high hopes for you. Thank you for your concern, Minister Yin. It's my duty to serve the leader. Fong Lingxian smiled sincerely. Then the Truth Realm Pearls. Look, do you think these 2 Truth Realm Pearls will do? Minister Yin moved his hand and immediately took out 2 boxes containing the Truth Realm Pearls. The leader was indeed a leader. He took out 2 rare Truth Realm Pearls at once without batting an eyelid. The sports car roared on the streets of Paris. Xiao Pinggan sat in the front passenger seat of the sports car and watched Li Yunzhou drive the sports car with a shiny, luxurious diamond wristwatch that was worth millions on his wrist. Xiao Pinggan was really annoyed. There was also the smell of a woman's perfume on the front passenger seat. This perfume definitely didn't belong to the female summoners he had met. It should belong to another woman. This guy must have been fooling around a lot in Paris these days. Don't look at me like that. I can't go out with the word summoner carved on my head and take a picture of my bank balance and hang it on my chest. Those women only recognize luxury cars and branded watches. By the way, why were you so careful just now? Was there someone watching you? Seeing Xia Pinggan's gaze, Li Yunzhou finally knew that he could speak without worry. Xia Pinggan waved his hand lightly and set up a mute enchantment in the car. Shaking his head, he said, "That's the Committee of Order's stronghold in Paris. Minister Yin is in the stronghold. Do you really think that he doesn't care about anything? If something happens at the stronghold and he doesn't know how to deal with it, wouldn't that be a slap to his face? Of course, he has his own arrangements on the streets outside the stronghold." Minister Yin? Li Yunzhou shrunk his head at once. Apart from Minister Yin, the Dragon Group is also watching from afar. If you want to find me next time, you'd better stay away from them. Be careful. Sorry, I didn't expect you to come this morning. Li Yunzhou hurriedly apologized and said with a grin, "Actually, I have a good thing for you." "What's the matter?" Ahem. I know a brother who's a local tycoon in the Fire Country. His family has mines in all the continents. He's always wanted to integrate a godly skill, Realm Pearl, but he didn't dare to try it. If you can help him integrate it, we can make a fortune. Xiao Pinggan didn't answer because he saw a string of blue balloons rising from the top of the distant iron tower through the car window. Chapter 548. Hey, are you listening to me? I said that my brother's family is rich. His family can push him to the 5 yuan realm with money. The business I introduced to you is not bad, isn't it? Li Yunzhou, who was driving, saw Xiao Pinggan looking out of the window without saying anything and started to mutter again. The People's Front already has information on those nuclear materials. This efficiency is not bad. Xiao Pinggan was surprised, but he still retracted his gaze from the window of the car and looked at Li Yunzhou. "I can't help you fuse with all the Realm Pearls. What kind of divine skill Realm Pearl does your brother want to fuse with?" "Here, this is the one." Li Yunzhou tossed a photo over. Xiao Pinggan looked at the photo. The words on the Realm Pearl were very clear. This was the divine skill Realm Pearl that could make a poem in 7 steps. This divine skill Realm Pearl happened to be among the 64 Realm Pearls that he could imbue. "No problem. You can contact your brother," Xiao Pinggan said with certainty. "Is there really no problem? Don't joke around. If this divine skill Realm Pearl fails, it means death. Moreover, the death rate is extremely high. Most people don't dare to fuse with it. If something goes wrong, I can only be hunted down for the rest of my life. Don't worry. If I say there's no problem, then there's no problem." Li Yunzhou rolled his eyes and revealed a smile. "All right then, when the time comes, you can have 2 Realm Pearls and 200 million as a reward. You just have to do a good job. You don't have to worry about the rest. I'll take care of it. 2 Realm Pearls and 200 million as a reward. Why is there so much?" This reward made Xiao Pinggan feel that it was a bit too generous. I'm afraid that if I ask for too little, my brother will think that I'm cheating him. You don't know what those rich people think, but I do. Rich people like him have custom-made toilets at home, and he has a big villa in Paris for vacation. His way of thinking is that no matter what he does, the more he spends, the more reliable he will feel. If you find the right person, you can give him 2 realm beads for the empowerment and fusion. For realm beads that are so difficult to fuse, if you don't take 4 to 6 realm bead from him and give him 4 to 500 million realm beads as a reward, he will doubt your service quality and ability. Besides, I've also put myself in as a guarantor this time, so it's not too much for me to earn some money for my hard work. It's not too much. Is he really your brother? Just kidding, just kidding. Anyway, we can eat, drink, and have fun together. We can drink together, pick up girls, and race cars together. Occasionally, we could do missions together to kill a few demon rats and spiders. We can trust each other and know each other well. Okay, I'll leave the rest to you. It's a bit chaotic in Paris now. His family won't allow him to come to Paris, but it should be no problem for him to come to France. Do you think he can go to Orleans? It's only over 120 kilometers away from Paris. No problem. That's a deal. I will contact you then. Li Yunzhou seemed to have seen numerous banknotes and realm pearls flying towards him as he grinned. His saliva almost flowed out of his mouth as he revealed his hilarious side. Just contact me through the special service watch. If you have any questions, you can talk about it in the dream. Stop in front. I'm getting off. In the ear-piercing sound of tires rubbing the ground, Li Yunzhou stopped the car. When Xia Ping'an wanted to open the door, he suddenly remembered something as he asked, "Oh, I had a nightmare that day, which left me with a psychological shadow. Was it because of you? As an adult, you should be responsible for your words. I don't know what nightmare you had," Xia Ping'an said solemnly. "Really?" Li Yunzhou touched his face as he watched Xia Ping'an with a dubious look. "Just like how I don't know what girl you're flirting with." Xia Ping'an opened the door and closed it with a sound of bang. Li Yunzhou cursed under his breath in the car. Without saying anything else, he drove the car and sped away. After getting off the car, Xia Ping'an stood on the roadside as he looked around. There was a park in the middle of the street. Many people were watching Xia Ping'an, who got off the sports car, with curious looks. At this moment, those who could drive such a fancy sports car in Paris were like those who drove bulletproof armored vehicles. They couldn't be offended. Xia Ping'an wanted to go to Chez Terroir restaurant. However, it was still a bit far from here. Wouldn't it be too scary to use a spell to disappear in the middle of the day? As one of the summoner's professional ethics, they generally wouldn't use spells in front of ordinary people unless they had no other choice. Just as Xia Ping'an was muttering to himself, his Committee of Orders special service watch vibrated slightly. Xia Ping'an looked at it and saw that his watch had received a message from Feng Lingshan. There were only 8 words in the message. "Do you still have body-strengthening pills?" Xia Ping'an was shocked when he saw the message. He hadn't even fused with the 3 realm pearls that he had just obtained. How could there be business so soon? Of course, Feng Lingshan wasn't here to buy the body-strengthening pills. She was here to tell him that there was business. Doing this kind of multi-level marketing to pull people's heads in the summoner community, it's not going to work. It had been a long time since Xia Ping'an experienced the bliss of receiving realm pearls one after another. He could almost feel the 7 Suns realm beckoning to him. "Kid, take off your coat and give me all your valuables. Also, give me the watch you're wearing. Hurry up." The roar of a motorcycle sounded beside him. Just as Xia Ping'an was thinking about how to get to Chez Terroir restaurant, a motorcycle had already stopped in front of him. There were 2 hoodlums on the motorcycle. One of them was driving and had a dragon and tiger tattoo on his arm. The other hoodlum in the back was a guy with a nose ring and a pale face. He pointed a revolver at Xia Ping'an and shouted. He looked around nervously as he talked to Xia Ping'an. Many people in the surroundings saw this kind of robbery in the middle of the day, but they hurriedly avoided it. "Hurry up. I saw you get out of your sports car. You must have money. Give me the things or I'll shoot." The hoodlum with the gun impatiently urged, waving his gun in front of Xia Ping'an. "Your motorcycle is not bad. Thanks." Xia Ping'an smiled. "What did you say?" The 2 hoodlums were stunned. 40 minutes later, just as the manager of Chez Terroir restaurant, Gabriel, was standing at the entrance of the restaurant looking around, Xiao Pingon rode the motorcycle to the entrance of the restaurant. He skillfully turned off the engine, put down the kickstand, and parked the motorcycle. The black bulletproof Audi that Mr. Curie was in was already parked in an empty space beside the restaurant. Seeing Xiao Pingon appear on the motorcycle, Gabriel let out a long sigh of relief and hurried over. "Thank God, you're finally here." Chapter 549. Has Mr. Curie arrived? Xiao Pingon got off the car as he walked towards the entrance of the restaurant. "Mr. Curie has arrived with an important news. He's waiting for you." Saying this, Gabriel pushed open the door and led Xiao Pingon into the restaurant. This time, they didn't meet in the restaurant, but in Gabriel's office. When Xiao Pingon walked into the office, Mr. Curie, who was wearing a white suit, was sitting on the sofa with a cane and talking to a man next to him. Besides Mr. Curie, there was another middle-aged white man in his 40s who was wearing a dark blue suit. He was slightly fat and looked a bit reserved. That middle-aged white man didn't look as tough as Mr. Curie's bodyguard. Instead, he looked more cultured and elegant. When Xiao Pingon entered, he saw Mr. Curie standing up. Therefore, that middle-aged white man also stood up. "Mr. Luoan, nice to meet you again." Mr. Curie shook hands with Mr. Luo, like an elegant gentleman. "Mr. Curie, nice to meet you too. I hope you can bring us good news this time." Xiao Pingon said. "Mr. Luoan, please allow me to introduce him to you. This is Dr. Anderson. Dr. Anderson, Mr. Luo, and is the most powerful summoner in Paris. The Doomsday Gang was exterminated by Mr. Luo, and..." Mr. Curie introduced the man beside him to Xiao Pingon. Mr. Luoan, nice to meet you." Dr. Anderson was obviously a bit nervous as he swallowed his saliva and stammered. His eyes flinched like a frightened deer as he didn't dare to look at Zhang Tai. Not knowing why Mr. Curie brought a doctor here, Xiao Pingon didn't ask. He just shook hands with Dr. Anderson calmly. When shaking hands, Xiao Pingon felt that Dr. Anderson's palms were full of sweat. He was very nervous. He knew that Mr. Curie would explain it to him. They sat down in the room. Dr. Andre used to be the best doctor in Paris. Later, he was kidnapped by the Doomsday Gang and had to serve the Doomsday Gang for a period of time. Mr. Curie explained to Xiao Pingon, Dr. Andre was just fulfilling his duty as a doctor. He didn't do anything outrageous and has already been forgiven by us. Additionally, Dr. Andre provided us with important information this time. Therefore, Dr. Andre, you don't need to be nervous. Mr. Luo and is not a demon and won't kill people at will. Xiao Pingon finally understood why Dr. Andeli was so nervous that his palms were sweating at the sight of him. He reckoned that Xiao Pingon was equivalent to a homicidal maniac in Andeli's mind. Numerous members of the Doomsday Gang had been killed by him. Perhaps some of the members of the Doomsday Gang who had escaped by luck had even sought him out for treatment. Andeli had served the Doomsday Gang before, so he was so nervous when he saw the person who had destroyed the Doomsday Gang in front of him. Dr. Andre, don't be nervous. The Doomsday Gang is already a thing of the past. I understand and sympathize with you. After all, a doctor's duty is to treat the sick and wounded, not to judge. Leave the trial to others. Hearing Xiao Pingon's words, Dr. Andre let out a sigh of relief. He then revealed a grateful smile to Xiao Pingon and nodded. He was not that nervous anymore. I heard that Mr. Luo and had searched the underground city of Paris with some people a few days ago. That's the most dangerous place in Paris. Did Mr. Luo find anything special in the underground city? Mr. Curie asked directly. This old fox wants to exchange information with me. Xiao Pingon muttered inside as he replied. The People's Front is very well informed. Of course, we will pay attention to such a big event. Mr. Curie's face turned solemn at once as he said in a low voice, 1 year ago, a demon rat drilled out of the underground tunnel and hurt people. We dispatched a patrol squad to hunt down demon rats and collect intelligence. That squad entered the underground city at the same place as you. There was a summoner and 7 commandos in the squad. However, it didn't come up again. I want to know whether Mr. Luo has found any trace of them underground. Mr. Curie's face turned solemn at once as he said in a gloomy voice, 1 year ago, a demon rat drilled out of the underground tunnel and hurt people. Mr. Curie, I'm sorry. I'm afraid that the squad you dispatched has all been killed. The danger in the underground city is beyond your imagination, Xiaopinggan said as he took out a USB flash disk and passed it to Gabriel beside him. This is part of the information that we took when we entered the underground city of Paris. You can have a look at it. Xiaopinggan asked Feng Lingyi for this information several days ago. Considering that they might have to deal with these local bullies in Paris, who might not know what kind of dangerous situation they were facing, Xiaopinggan prepared such a document. Instead of telling them about the danger, it was better to show them the danger. The latter would be more convincing. Mr. Curie told Gabriel to play in the office. There was a monitor and a power supply in the office. Gabriel inserted the USB flash disk into a card reader and connected it to the TV. After turning on the TV, all the people in the office saw the same scenes that Xiaopinggan and his team had seen in the underground city of Paris last time. The moment the video came out, it was a shaking camera and demon rats surging towards them from the other side of the tunnel. The brilliance of the summoner's magic, the flame of the flamethrower, and the gunshots filled the entire screen. That was the fiercest combat. In the room, Mr. Curie, Gabriel, and Dr. Andre all gasped, and their faces changed color. In the light green underground combat video shot by the infrared lens, the signs and topography of the underground tunnel of Paris were clearly visible. The demon rats and huge demon fire spiders that filled the entire tunnel brought a strong sense of oppression to people. The close combat between the summoned creatures and the demon rats was fierce. The sound of weapons stabbing into the demon rats' bodies and bones was very clear. Xiaopinggan's back flashed twice in the video. The roar of the turret in his hand was very shocking. After the combat between the demon rats and the demon rats, the camera turned black for a few seconds before it showed the huge underground shelter. The camera swept over the roaring zombies with red eyes in the cages of the underground shelter, the items in the laboratory, and those wooden boxes with military biochemical weapons marks. The camera changed again. The huge nest of demon rats and those newborn demon rats in the underground city of Paris appeared in the video. The video was only over 10 minutes long. After watching it, the faces of the people in the room turned pale. Are these the things hidden under Paris? Mr. Curie asked Xiaopinggan in a slightly trembling voice as he clenched his cane tightly to support his body. Yes, there are many demon rats and space-invading creatures in the underground of Paris. They have begun to multiply underground. Once those things come out of the underground, their destructive power to Paris is no less than that of an army. However, the most dangerous thing is not those space-invading creatures, but the things hidden under Devil's Eye. Those zombies and biochemical viruses can turn the entire Paris into a dead city and spread the virus to the whole of France through Paris. I think this should be the script designed by Devil's Eye for Paris in the future. Xiaopinggan looked at Mr. Curie and said sincerely, in the last action, we only resolved part of the hidden dangers in Paris. If we didn't find the nuclear materials in Paris, the dangers in Paris would always exist, and we don't know when they would erupt. This is an imminent threat. On behalf of the people of Paris, I would like to thank Mr. Royne and your partners for what you've done for us. Mr. Curie stood up as he slightly bowed towards Xiaopinggan, saying, Mr. Luo, could you leave those videos to us? I want to show them to the others. Paris is in a state of disunity. It's time for us to unite. No problem. Delhi has been in contact with several patients who were suspected to have suffered from severe radiation. Mr. Curie sat down and looked at Dr. Ndeli. Dr. Ndeli, introduce the conditions of the patients you've been in contact with to Mr. Royne. Yes, Mr. Curie. Dr. Ndeli withdrew his shocked look from the monitor and swallowed his saliva nervously. After that, he started to introduce them to Xiaopinggan. Just a few months ago, some members of the Doomsday Gang came to me because of severe vomiting and diarrhea. They asked me to prescribe some medicine for them. Ahem. This situation is very common. As food is in short supply in Paris, some food is not very clean. Therefore, those low-level members of the Doomsday Gang didn't eat very well. At that time, I just prescribed them some medicine for vomiting and diarrhea before letting them go back. However, the medicine I prescribed didn't work. After taking my medicine, their symptoms didn't improve. In the next few days, they were very tired, insomnia, red skin, ulcers, hair loss, bleeding, diarrhea, and skin loss. After they came to me constantly, I realized that they might have suffered from severe radiation. At that time, before I could treat them carefully, they were taken away by a leader of the Doomsday Gang. Later on, I never saw them again. Xiao narrowed his eyes and asked, "Did they say where they came in contact with anything?" I talked with them. They said they were ordered to escort a batch of things to the Boulogne Castle. Chapter 550. Boulogne Castle? Where's this place? Xiao, who was not very familiar with Paris, only felt that Luo and had heard of this place before, but he was not too familiar with it. He could not help but turn his eyes to Mr. Curie. Ahem. Mr. Curie coughed slightly. Boulogne Castle is an ancient castle in the Boulogne Forest Park and the Seine River in the west of Paris. That territory originally belonged to the Marquis family of Boulogne. After the Great Revolution, it became a museum. After the catastrophe 2 years ago, Boulogne Castle was occupied by the French Summoners Union. French Summoners Union? I seem to have heard of this organization. It's also a big force in Paris, but it's a bit different from the People's Front. Xiao rubbed his face. Yes, the French Summoners Union is a big organization in Paris. It's different from other organizations in Paris. It's very arrogant. They not only occupy Boulogne Castle, but also a large area around it, including the surrounding forest park and several docks and shipyards by the river. They can block the Seine River at any time. What's so special about this organization? The French Summoners Union calls for the expulsion of those dirty politicians who have led the country into the abyss and the establishment of a country dominated by summoners. Their call can confuse some people and gain the favor of summoners. The leader of this union is the chief guardian summoner of Paris, Bourget Monnery, who was once hired by the Paris government. In the summoner hierarchy, he belonged to the 5th level a few years ago. This is his photo, which was taken at the ceremony where the Paris government hired him as the chief guardian summoner of Paris. Mr. Curie said as he handed a photo to Xiao. The photo was taken at a ceremony. In the photo was a man wearing a summoner's black ceremonial robe with a ribbon. He was standing in front of a podium, raising a hand and pointing into the distance as he said something. The man was over 50 years old. He was tall and had silver hair. His eye sockets were deep, and his eyes looked a bit gloomy. He also had a strong, aquiline nose, which made him look domineering. As for the 5th level of the summoner rank that Mr. Curie mentioned, it was actually the 5-element realm. Even in a big city like Paris, a 5-element realm summoner would be able to take charge of a city and enjoy enough glory. In the past few days, we have mobilized all our connections in Paris to search for those nuclear materials. We carried out a carpet search, but we haven't found any clues. Later, according to Dr. Andre's description, we found the tombs of the Doomsday Gang. We opened all the coffins of the dead members of the Doomsday Gang buried in the tombs in the past few months and checked a few of the corpses with a radiation detector. In the end, we found that a few of the corpses had indeed suffered severe radiation. Mr. Curie said as he handed over several photos of the rotting corpses in the graveyard. There were also photos taken when they examined the corpses and the readings of the instruments. Have you checked the corpses in Boulogne Castle? Xiao asked. We sent a few radiation detectors to the French Summoners Union, and they said they would check it themselves. Yesterday, they reported to us that they didn't detect anything in their territory. Mr. Luo, and it's not convenient for our people to enter their territory. This will cause conflicts, and we can't deal with their summoners. Mr. Curie said helplessly. Okay, I understand. Mr. Curie, the information you provided is very important. Leave the rest to me. By the way, where are the corpses that can still be detected with radiation? They're in the cemetery near the catacombs in the 14th arrondissement in the south of Paris. At that time, the Doomsday Gang buried their dead members here. After checking, we restored the cemetery to its original state and had people keep an eye on it. Mr. Luo, and you can verify it at any time. Although the Doomsday Gang wasn't a good gang, they also had a burial ceremony for their dead members. No one wanted to be thrown into the river to feed the fish or exposed in the wilderness after death. Xiao Pingan had already stood up. Okay, let's go there and check it out now. This kind of thing couldn't be delayed. They had to confirm the authenticity of the information immediately. 1 minute later, Xiao Pingan and Mr. Curie walked out of the restaurant and directly got into Mr. Curie's car. Mr. Curie's bulletproof car was escorted by 2 escort vehicles. It drove directly to the cemetery near the catacombs in the 14th arrondissement in the south of Paris. As for Dr. Andre, he was a witness. He had completed his task of testifying, so he was no longer needed. Mr. Curie asked someone to send Dr. Andre back to the hospital. After getting into the car, Xiao Pingan had already summoned the boy god of blessings. The boy god of blessings jumped playfully in the car for 2 rounds before leaving the car in a flash. He then went directly to Boulogne Castle to investigate. At the same time, Xiao Pingan used his special service watch to send a message to Fong Lingyin. There's a clue in the cemetery near the catacombs in the 14th arrondissement. Come quickly. Paris used to be a rich and beautiful city. But now, this beautiful city is like a beautiful lady who has fallen into prostitution. Her beauty is coveted by people, but it's also the source of her disaster. Mr. Curie sighed as he looked at the street outside the window. Sitting in the car, Mr. Curie looked at the street scenery outside the window and sighed with emotion. After the Doomsday Gang was destroyed, we actually wanted to form an autonomous government in Paris that united the people of Paris so that we could negotiate with the government and obtain our rightful position. We wanted to end the current chaos in Paris and let the citizens here live a better life. However, there were many difficulties. As the French proverb goes, abondance est plus meurtri requel la famine. Sometimes, money is more harmful than starvation. Many people don't want to give up the rights and benefits in their hands. They would rather Paris be in such chaos. The people of Boulogne Castle don't agree to negotiate with the government? Xiao Pingan asked. Yes, Mr. Rohn. The reason why I'm telling you this is that I don't want you to misunderstand that we have other intentions. Boulogne Castle has a huge disagreement with our people's front. But at the same time, the clues we got about the nuclear materials indeed pointed to Boulogne Castle. I swear that we didn't do anything to it. We won't joke about the lives of millions of people in Paris. I believe you. Xiao Pingan nodded. You really don't have to lie about this, because this lie can be easily exposed. Yes, all lies don't last long. Perhaps some people have gone crazy, but we haven't. Chapter 551. Before Xiao Pingan arrived at the cemetery near the catacombs in the 14th arrondissement in the south of Paris, the agile boy of blessings had already arrived at the Château de Boulogne in the west of Paris in a flash. The Château de Boulogne was surrounded by the lush Boulogne forest. Right next to the Château de Boulogne was the Seine River, and several docks could be seen nearby. The Boulogne forest had beautiful scenery, with shaded paths and lakes everywhere. It was quiet and serene. Waterfowls could be seen resting in the forest, and hares and fawns could be seen coming out of the forest parks from time to time. However, this large area was extremely quiet even in the daytime, with almost no one disturbing it. In Paris, where food was scarce, it seemed that no one would think of coming here to hunt animals or look for wild vegetables. At the entrance of the forest, there was a warning sign. On the sign, there was a scary warning written in several languages. There was a skull symbol on the sign, and below the symbol was a line of words. You are about to enter the sphere of influence of the French Summoners Alliance. If you rush in, you may be shot. In addition to these frightening warning signs, there were also groups of armed men patrolling the perimeter of the Bois de Boulogne forest. Such a situation was enough to make normal people retreat and not dare to rashly enter. The boy of fortune was very naughty and happy. After circling around several armed patrols, he didn't find anything unusual. He then rode on a fawn in the forest. The fawn ran across half of the Bois de Boulogne. After that, the boy of fortune grabbed the foot of an egret. The egret took him to fly around the forest for a short circle. When the boy of blessings let go of the egret's foot and descended from the sky, he was already standing in the Chateau de Boulogne. Mr. Curie said that Castle Boulogne was the headquarters of the French Summoners Union. It was reasonable to say that this place should be very lively with a lot of summoners. However, when Boy of Bliss arrived here, he found that Castle Boulogne was particularly deserted. Except for a few armed personnel patrolling the gates and walls of Castle Boulogne, the whole castle seemed empty. There was almost no one in sight. Not only was the castle empty, even the basement and dungeon of the castle were as clean as if they had been licked by a dog. Not a single strand of hair could be seen. As for that Bourget Monnery, the boy of fortune didn't find him even after searching the entire castle. However, in an obviously luxurious office, the boy of fortune saw some photos and some trophies of Bourget Monnery. Some of the luxurious bedrooms in the castle were cold and cheerless. The doors were locked, and it didn't look like anyone lived here. There were also some secret cultivation rooms, attics, secret passages, and so on in the castle. Under the search of the child of fortune god, there was nothing of value to be found. Fort Boulogne had a very secret underground passage. After Child Fortune God entered the underground passage for several hundred meters, the passage was connected to an old underground tunnel. The tunnel was covered in dust and cobwebs. On both sides of the tunnel were skeletons wearing armor. They looked very old, at least several hundred kilometers old. The boy of fortune went further into the tunnel and saw many coffins. The skeletons in the coffins and the clothes on the skeletons had already decayed. The deeper he went into the tunnel, the more decayed skeletons there were. On both sides of the tunnel were bone walls made of human skulls. This was like a world of undead and skeletons. If an ordinary person came here, they would probably suffocate in a few seconds. Further ahead, there were more and more forks in the tunnel filled with skeletons. Some places had even collapsed. Even with the ability of the Boy of Blessings God, he couldn't make it through the maze-like tunnel in a short time. Very strange. Except for some guards, there were no summoners in Fort Boulogne. This situation was a bit abnormal. The entire Fort Boulogne was filled with an indescribable strangeness. The tunnel under the Chateau de Boulogne was connected to the tunnel full of skeletons. It should be part of the catacombs of ancient Paris. If Bourget Monnery was a member of Demon's Eye, and those nuclear materials were indeed transported to Fort Boulogne, and there was a tunnel in Fort Boulogne that led to the catacombs of Paris, what did Demon's Eye want to do? Xiao Pingon felt that he had vaguely grasped something. The answers seemed to be about to come out. Xiao Pingon's heart pounded violently. In the car, Xiao Pingon slightly frowned as he looked at Mr. Curie. Mr. Curie, when was the last time you met Bourget Monnery? Since the government evacuated from Paris, Bourget Monnery hasn't shown up much. But the last time we met was last week. On the second morning after we met in the restaurant, I visited him in Fort Boulogne and asked him to help us find nuclear materials. Mr. Curie looked at Xiao Pingon curiously. What? Is there a problem? Xiao Pingon faintly smiled. Nothing, I'm just asking. More than half an hour later, Xiao Pingon and Mr. Curie had arrived at the cemetery near the catacombs of the 14th arrondissement in the south of Paris. This cemetery was on a small slope in the suburb of the city. Pine trees were planted on the slope. Standing on the slope, Zhang Tai could see an entrance to the catacombs of Paris not far away. 2 years ago, the catacombs of Paris were still open to tourists as a tourist attraction. But now, although the entrance to the catacombs of Paris was still open, it was a bit deserted. The gate had been closed. No Parisians would want to take a look inside. In places like cemeteries, even in broad daylight, one could feel a lingering energy lingering around. However, compared to the catacombs not far away, the public cemetery on the hillside was considered bright and beautiful, and the scenery was particularly good. Not many people knew that Paris, the so-called city of romance, was built on a huge cemetery. The catacombs of Paris were a huge underground project. The catacombs of Paris were more than 320 kilometers in length. In the catacombs, there were more than 6 million skeletons of Frenchmen. The plague hundreds of years ago turned the city of Paris into a huge cemetery. The whole city was covered with buried corpses. Finally, the government had no choice but to excavate the catacombs to place the skeletons of the dead. As the skeletons accumulated, the catacombs became longer and longer. Gradually, the catacombs became a forbidden area. The skeletons inside were piled up like mountains, which made people shudder. Even though it was later opened as a tourist attraction, the open area was actually less than 1% of the total catacombs. The People's Front ordered people to guard outside the cemetery. Following Mr. Curie's arrival, the guards here soon brought the two of them to several graves with traces of excavation. Wearing masks, they opened the coffins in the pits. As soon as the coffins were opened, the pungent smell of corpse rushed straight towards them. The smell made Mr. Curie cover his mouth and nose with his handkerchief, take 2 steps back, and quickly avoid it. Only Xia Pingan remained calm. He stood beside the coffin, narrowed his eyes, and stared at the situation in the pit. Any summoner who had seen the sacrifice of the demon Eye, and any summoner who had the soul pacifying banner would no longer feel that there were terrifying corpses in the world. The corpse in the coffin was highly rotten, but from the rotten corpse, there were still some signs of death from radiation. The hair of the corpse had completely fallen off, and some of the skin had also fallen off. This situation happened before the corpse died, and there was no way to fake it. Under Mr. Curie's signal, a person in a disease-proof suit from the People's Front jumped into the pit with a radiation detector in his hand. In front of Xia Pingan, he used the radiation detector to monitor the corpse. Beep, 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 beep. The reading on the detector instantly soared, and the detector began to sound the alarm. Therefore, there was no doubt that the people in the pit had died from severe radiation. Even the corpses had excessive radiation remaining. The corpses in the pits are all the same. They have the characteristics of death from radiation. Do you need to test them again? Mr. Curie asked. Chapter 552. Just as Xia Pingan was about to speak, he suddenly felt something and turned his head to look at the entrance of the catacombs not far away. His eyes suddenly became sharp. At that moment, Xia Pingan vaguely felt a faint fluctuation of divine power coming from the direction of the catacombs, but that feeling disappeared in the blink of an eye. That fluctuation of divine power was very brief and disappeared in an instant. Moreover, it was very weak and somewhat vague. Xia Pingan waited for a few seconds, but there were no more fluctuations of divine power coming from the direction of the catacombs. This made Xia Pingan mutter in his heart. Was it an illusion? Or was it not a fluctuation of divine power, but the aura of space-invading creatures, such as the magic fire spiders? Space-invading creatures, such as the magic fire spiders, would sometimes release a faint aura similar to divine power when they released their innate abilities. This aura was especially obscure and difficult to distinguish on the ground. An ordinary summoner would definitely not be able to sense that fluctuation just now. Even Chen Zhongming and the others would not be able to sense it. The more powerful a summoner was, the more sensitive they would be to the fluctuations of divine power around them. Ahem, Mr. Luo, seeing that Xia Pingan was lost in thought while looking at the catacombs in the distance. Mr. Curie coughed twice to remind him. Oh, no need. Xia Pingan turned his head and looked at Mr. Curie. It has been confirmed that the corpses here were killed by radiation. This clue is very useful to us. Leave the rest to us. Just as Xia Pingan finished speaking, an even more powerful fluctuation of divine power suddenly came from the direction of the catacombs, causing Xia Pingan's expression to change slightly. Just now, he had doubted whether it was an illusion, but now he was sure that it was not an illusion. It was a fluctuation of divine power coming from the depths of the catacombs. Although it was far away and was blocked by the ground and layers of the catacombs, Xia Pingan could still clearly feel it. Not only did he feel it, but the Requiem banner in his secret mandala sculpture suddenly glowed at this moment, as if it had been alarmed by some power. An exclamation came from the side. The staff member of the People's Front, who had just put on a protective suit and was holding a radiation detector, had just taken the detector out of the pit. Just as he was about to climb up, he suddenly screamed in panic and pointed at the rotten corpse in the open coffin with a trembling hand. "What the hell, hand?" I just saw the corpse's hand move. While the man was speaking, the hand of the rotten corpse in the coffin moved once again. This time, the movement of the hand was so large that the corpse trembled violently, as if it had been electrocuted. It moved again. The person next to him exclaimed. This time, Mr. Curie also saw it, and his expression changed slightly. Several people of the people's front turned pale and started to draw their guns. "Hurry up and climb up." Xia Pingan's expression changed. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the strong man who had jumped into the pit and threw him to the ground. "Protect Mr. Curie and leave this place immediately," Xia Pingan said to Mr. Curie's bodyguards with an extremely serious expression. "What the hell happened?" Mr. Curie asked as he felt something was wrong. "I'm not sure, but it's definitely not a good thing. Just now, I felt a very strong fluctuation of divine power coming from the catacombs of Paris." Hearing Xia Pingan's words, the rotten corpse in the coffin suddenly sat up with its upper body straight. As the corpse sat up, the maggots and rotten flesh on its body fell down. Bang, 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 bang. Mr. Curie's bodyguards had already taken out their guns. Seeing the corpse suddenly sit up, they started to shoot at it fiercely. The bullets hit the corpse, causing black and yellow liquid and blood to splatter in all directions. The corpse was shot into a sieve in the blink of an eye, and its head was hit 7 or 8 times. Even so, the corpse still struggled to stand up from the coffin. It uttered a strange roar and wanted to climb out of the pit. This scene was enough to make a timid person's legs go soft. A fireball landed on the corpse and turned it into ashes. Only then did the horrifying scene come to an end. "Protect Mr. Curie and get him out of here immediately," Xia Pingan urged again. This time, Mr. Curie's bodyguards and several members of the people's front dared not waste any more time. They hurriedly protected Mr. Curie and rushed out of the cemetery in a panic. This was how ordinary people panicked under the spell of Summoner. As they walked past the graves, they could hear dull banging sounds coming from under the tombstones. It sounded like someone was hitting the coffins with a hammer. At first, there were only a few sounds, but after a few seconds, there were more and more of them. It was as if there were countless people beating drums in the cemetery. Beneath every grave, there was a dull sound. At this moment, the people who had been sleeping in the cemetery seemed to have woken up and wanted to climb out of their graves. Mr. Curie was old, so even if he walked quickly, he couldn't walk fast. When they had walked 1/3 of the way, the ground under a new grave was finally dug up, and a pale hand suddenly reached out from below. Not long after, a half-rotten corpse climbed out of the ground. The corpse's head hit the ground, and its eyeballs and nose fell down from its face like snot. Bang, 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 bang. Mr. Curie's bodyguards opened fire with their pistols and submachine guns. The rotten corpse trembled, and blood and flesh splattered everywhere. Suddenly, the corpse began to swell and turn red. Boom! The corpse exploded like a bomb, leaving a huge pit on the ground. The broken bones and flesh of the corpse flew in all directions like shrapnel. However, the hundreds of broken bones were blocked by a sparkling water curtain when they sputtered in front of the crowd at a high speed. Xia Pingan stood in front of them like a mountain peak. At this moment, Xia Pingan was exceptionally calm. His face was as calm as iron. He didn't even move as the water curtain rose in front of everyone, easily blocking the explosion of the corpse. At the same time, he waved his hand, and 7 or 8 fireballs flew out, turning the pile of rotten corpses that had just crawled out of the ground into ashes. These rotten corpses have been activated by corpse explosion skill and corpse sacrifice skill. Don't get too close to them. When you see the corpses swell, you should immediately leave or lie down. Don't let these corpses come within 5 m. When Xia Pingan escorted Mr. Curie and his bodyguards into the car, thousands of skeletons and corpses had already climbed out of the graves and were running everywhere. Some of them even ran towards where Xia Pingan was. Fortunately, there was no residential area near the cemetery. Otherwise, Such a scene would have caused great chaos and casualties. Hurry up. After escorting Mr. Curie into the car, Xia Pingon roared towards Mr. Curie's bodyguard. Mr. Luoan, what about you? Mr. Curie's face turned pale as he panted. However, he still maintained his proper demeanor as he turned around and asked, "Let's go together." Mr. Curie, this is the battlefield of summoners. Mortals, stay away. After saying that, Xia Pingon heavily slammed the door. Mr. Curie's bodyguard then stepped on the accelerator and the cars rapidly left the cemetery. The moment Mr. Curie's car left, Xia Pingon turned around and waved his hand, summoning 100 elite slave soldiers and 100 Wei Wu soldiers. As soon as the elite slave soldiers were summoned, they scattered. Each of them took out a javelin from their back and began to stab the zombies. In the blink of an eye, a large number of zombies fell to the ground. As for the Wei Wu soldiers that Xia Pingon had summoned, they were like special forces from the era of cold weapons. They formed groups of a few, and with shields, crossbows, and spears, they were able to kill the zombies before they could get close. The cemetery directly became a battlefield. Rotten corpses constantly expanded and exploded. The Wei Wu soldiers and elite slave soldiers summoned by Xia Pingon also turned into light and dissipated in the battle. In such a battle, the military SUVs driven by Tu Polu's group finally arrived. Chapter 553. Dong, 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 dong. The heavy machine gun's bullets swept across the cemetery's slope like a storm. The bullets broke the tree branches and tombstones, splashing the grass and soil everywhere, leaving craters. A few half-rotten corpses that had just crawled out of the cemetery were cut into halves by the heavy machine gun's bullets like straw under a sickle. The fragile bones of the rotten corpses were broken into several pieces and fell heavily to the ground. The bald Tu Polu's body was half exposed from the sunroof of the SUV. He was holding the heavy machine gun on the roof of the SUV. The heavy machine gun was spitting out fire snakes. Tu Polu's muscles were trembling along with the heavy machine gun. He was also roaring angrily, "Trash bastards, go to hell." Fong Lingshan was driving the SUV at the front. Fong Lingshan stepped on the gas pedal and pursed her beautiful lips tightly. The SUV's engine roared like a steel monster rushing over. More than 10 zombies that were blocking the road were sent flying. Some of them were even torn into pieces. The SUV directly rushed through a group of zombies. Some of the zombies expanded and exploded. However, when the broken bones of the zombies hit the 7 layers of bulletproof glass and bulletproof armor of the SUV, it only made crackling sounds like raindrops hitting banana leaves. At most, it only left a dent on the body of the SUV or a shattered white mark on the glass. The most disgusting thing was that the various pieces of organs and mucus from the self-exploded zombies were all smeared on the SUV. A piece of rotten intestine hit the window of Fong Lingshan's SUV. The SUV continued to charge forward and sent another 2 zombies flying. In the end, it hit a zombie in a tattered suit and directly slammed the zombie into a tree. The tree shook and the zombie was sandwiched between the SUV and the tree. The zombie struggled in vain as the SUV stopped. The 2 vehicles behind also stopped. The Dragon Group and the small team from the Committee of Order had arrived. The people from both sides who had once searched for the underground tunnel quickly jumped out of the vehicles. Tu Polu had already taken out his machete. He roared angrily and waved his machete. A layer of flame appeared on the blade of his machete. Tu Polu chopped 2 zombies that had rushed over into halves. The zombies were directly turned into dust by Tu Polu's machete. Fong Lingshan also jumped down from the car and raised a gun in her hand. With a bang, she shot the zombie that was stuck between the front of the car and the tree trunk. Only 8 bodies were still knocking on the hood of the car, turning it into dust. Fong Lingshan had fired rune bullets, which were perfect for dealing with things like zombies. F***CK. Are these rotten corpses having a meeting here? Isn't it better to stay underground? Ashes to ashes, ashes to ashes. Why do they have to do that? F***CK. Protect the king, protect the king. Li Yinzhou shouted like a clown. However, He didn't hesitate at all as he threw out a few fireballs to burn the rotten corpses that were charging at him into ashes. At the same time, he summoned 4 shield-wielding soldiers to protect himself and cast a water shield on himself. When he saw Fong Lingshan's rune bullets, he complained, "Lingshan, why didn't you share some of your rune bullets with me?" Fong Lingshan's rune bullets had already reached Li Yunzhou's ears. Fong Lingshan gave him a supercilious look. She was too lazy to pay attention to this guy. She just continued to shoot. As for Fong Lingxian, she was very straightforward. The moment she came out, she summoned dozens of slave soldiers and archers to rush towards the zombies. Just like the last time when they entered the underground, the members of Dragon Group had a clear division of labor and tacit cooperation. As soon as they got off the SUV, the zombies in the surroundings were cleared. A group of summoned soldiers and fierce tigers pounced on the zombies in the surroundings and quickly turned the situation around. Try your best to eliminate these zombies nearby. Don't let them escape. Chun Zhongming waved his hand, and a few fireballs flew out, killing 3 zombies that rushed over. He then quickly gave orders to several members of the Dragon Group. Lu Xiong, Yang Xiaodong, you 2 guard the left side of the road. Chao Tong, Su Xiao, I'll leave the right side of the slope to you. The only threat these zombies posed to the summoners was their exploding corpse. However, even exploding corpse was no threat to the summoners' water shields. It was like seeing human flesh fireworks through a window. Xia Pingan held the gun with both hands and fired left and right. In the midst of the gunshots, the 2 silver revolvers in his hands constantly emitted sparks. He shot out rune bullets one after another, turning the zombies into fireballs and ashes. These rune bullets were made by Xia Pingan a few days ago. He didn't expect them to come in handy so soon. Xia Pingan, who was holding a gun to eliminate the zombies, seemed to have found the same feeling he had when he was at the Committee of Order. What's going on? Why are there zombies here? Tu Palu, who was full of killing intent, was the first to rush over after killing a few zombies. Immediately after, Chun Zhongming from the Dragon Group also rushed over. I've already found a key clue to the nuclear materials. There are a few corpses in the cemetery that died from radiation. They are members of the Doomsday Gang. There are people from the demons hiding in the catacombs. Let's deal with these zombies first. Xia Pingan gave a simple introduction. He waved his hand and summoned 2 rows of heavy cavalry. The heavy cavalry's hooves were like thunder as they rushed toward the zombies that had run away. The Chinese heavy cavalry galloped on the streets of Paris. Their scimitars were like snow, and their spears were like dragons. It was especially shocking. With the heavy cavalry, the zombies wouldn't be able to run far. Seeing the arrival of Tu Polu and the others, Xia Pingan secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He finally didn't have to expose his strength. These zombies weren't much stronger than cockroaches to Xia Pingan. The key was that there were too many of them. If they hadn't come, Xia Pingan would have had to summon more soldiers to prevent the zombies from causing more chaos and damage. To a summoner at the 7th elemental realm, that would be a bit glaring and not low-key at all. This was much better. After emptying the 70 to 80 rounds of rune bullets in his hand, Xia Pingan swiftly put away his pistol. With a flick of his hand, he took out a 1-meter-long honeycomb rocket launcher and began to bombard the cemetery and the zombies. The rocket launcher in Xia Pingan's hand wasn't a single soldier's equipment. It was a weapon mounted on helicopters, fighter jets, and armored vehicles. Its power couldn't be compared to a single soldier's rocket launcher. Xia Pingan carried such a big thing and fired it. A series of rockets flew out of the big thing in his hand. Amidst the violent explosions, the entire cemetery seemed to have been bombed by a bomber. It instantly turned into a sea of fire. The soil was overturned, and the shock waves of the explosion spread in all directions. After firing the rocket launcher in his hand, Xia Pingan moved his hand and took out another one. He continued to fire. Damn, just how many things do you have? Li Yinzhou screamed. As the battle continued, the number of zombies in the cemetery became fewer and fewer. 10 minutes later, when the last few zombies were burned into ashes by Tu Palu's machete and the flames of the members of the Dragon Group, everything calmed down. The entire cemetery and the ground within 1,000 meters of the cemetery had changed its appearance. There wasn't a single intact grave in the cemetery. There were broken limbs everywhere. Broken bones and rotting flesh were everywhere. The stench was overwhelming. Chapter 2 tonight. Chapter 554. With a wave of Xia Pingyan's hand, the summoned elite slave soldiers, Wei Wu's soldiers, and the storm cavalry all returned to his side. They filed into the illusory door beside him and returned to the secret mandala. In this battle, 1/5 of the battle puppets summoned by Xia Pingyan were killed. It was almost the fiercest battle he had fought since he returned to Earth. Crack! Tupolu's anti-stab military boots heavily stepped on a skull on the ground. The skull that was still opening and closing its mouth directly turned into a pile of bones and stopped moving. Looking at the smoky battlefield, Tupolu spat a mouthful of saliva on the ground like a bullet. He finally put away his machete and walked towards Xia Pingyan. F***CK. Xia Pingyan is getting more and more abnormal. He even has a module for rocket launchers. I wonder how large his space teleportation equipment is. Tupolu muttered inside, but he said, I think the Frenchmen should pay us. Last time, it was those demon rats and zombies in the underground tunnel. This time, it's the zombies. We've already protected this city twice. The summoners returned to Xia Pingyan one after another. Xia Pingyan had already taken back the battle puppets summoned by him. However, the battle puppets summoned by the others who didn't integrate with the Golden Thunder Realm bead were still here. They either dissipated on their own or waited for the duration of the plane's descent to run out. The Boy of Blessings had already returned. When Xia Pingyan was fighting, the Boy of Blessings entered the underground tunnel of Paris through the secret tunnel of Castle Boulogne. After exploring more than 10 kilometers, he found some corpses that seemed to have died a few months ago. Those corpses had already rotted and were shot dead. They were completely different from the aged skeletons in the tunnel. Judging from the clothes of those corpses, they were very similar to the militants of the French Summoners Union who were guarding Castle Boulogne. As the tunnel had completely collapsed, the Boy of Blessings couldn't search anymore. Therefore, he returned to Xia Pingyan. Seeing that everyone had gathered, Xia Pingyan didn't beat around the bush and directly said, the gangsters of the Doomsday Gang who were buried here after dying from severe radiation told the doctor who treated them that they had sent a batch of things to Fort Boulogne. Then, their bodies developed severe radiation symptoms, and they were controlled by the Doomsday Gang. Otherwise, they wouldn't see the doctor again, and then they disappeared. Fort Boulogne is almost an empty castle now, and none of the summoners of the French Summoners Union are in the castle. At the same time, the underground passage of Fort Boulogne is connected to the catacombs of Paris. A part of the passage has been blown up, and some militants of the French Summoners Union died in the catacombs. It seems that they were silenced. Xia Pingyan had already explained all the key points in a few words. No one asked how Xia Pingyan knew this, because it didn't matter to the summoners. What mattered was whether Xia Pingyan's information was true or not. The background of Castle Boulogne was very clear to everyone who had carried out missions in Paris and analyzed the background information of the missions. Sure enough, upon hearing this, Fang Lingxuan's eyes suddenly sharpened. Bourget Monnery. If the people who died in the underground tunnel of Castle Boulogne can also be detected with excessive radiation, then we can be completely sure that the nuclear materials were transferred to Bourget Monnery. Bourget Monnery might be a member of the Hidden Demon Eyes. Chen Zhongming narrowed his eyes. Now we have two choices. Xia Pingyan pointed to the entrance of the Paris catacombs, not far away. The person who cast the spell to cause the zombies here is hiding in the catacombs. He might want to destroy the evidence here, or he might want to create more chaos. That person might still be in the catacombs and might have escaped. Should we go in and search, or go to the underground tunnel of Castle Boulogne to check the condition of the corpses before deciding on the next step? Xia Pingyan was only the external aide of the Committee of Order. He only had the right to participate in the operation and did not have the right to make decisions and commands. Therefore, What to do next would depend on the outcome of the discussion between the Committee of Order and the Dragon Group. Entering the catacombs of Paris, where more than 6 million corpses were buried, to search for a summoner of the Demon Eyes who had mastered the secret method of large-scale zombies, or even a group of summoners of the Demon Eyes. This decision was a difficult challenge for everyone, and the degree of danger was self-evident. The level of danger in entering the catacombs of Paris was not on the same level as searching for underground tunnels and shelters. Fang Lingxian and Chun Zhongming looked at each other, and Fang Lingxian said directly, "The situation here is very important. I'll contact Minister Yin first and see if he has any instructions." Chun Zhongming nodded. "Agreed." As he spoke, Fang Lingxian quickly ran to the military SUVs and used the communication equipment in the car to report what happened here to Minister Yin. "I'm thinking that if the Demon Eyes really transferred the nuclear materials to the catacombs of Paris and are not in a hurry to transport them away, what do they want to do?" Su Xiao of the Dragon Group suddenly said, "Perhaps the Demon Eyes have a secret laboratory in the catacombs." Chao Tong said, "The high-energy radiation of the nuclear materials can transform space invaders into demon spirits as special casting materials. Is the Demon Eyes trying to do something in the catacombs of Paris?" Li Yunzhou frowned and looked at the entrance of the catacombs in the distance. "Damn it. Why do I feel that the mission in Paris is full of danger? Are we really going to enter the catacombs with 6 million corpses to find someone?" Xia Pingon narrowed his eyes and looked at the entrance of the catacombs not far away. Boy of Fortune had just gone in and walked around. The structure of the catacombs here was more complicated, like a maze built of bones. Boy of Fortune had only searched a small part of the tunnels for a long time and did not find anything. Xia Pingon withdrew Boy of Fortune. Fang Lingxian quickly walked over from the car. "Minister Yin already knows the situation here. He told us not to rush into the catacombs, but to go to Fort Boulogne first to determine the current situation of Fort Boulogne and the radiation of the corpses in the secret underground tunnel before deciding what to do next." Hearing Fang Lingxuan's answer, the few people present secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Everyone's actions could be said to be straightforward. After receiving the order, everyone drove directly to Fort Boulogne. As for the mess left in the cemetery, they would leave it to the people's front. When everyone left, several patrols and armored vehicles of the people's front had already rushed here under orders. All of a sudden, 700 to 800 armed personnel arrived, ready to support Xia Pingon. However, they were a few minutes late. By the time they arrived, the battle here had already ended, and they could only stay to clean up the battlefield. 2 hours later, a swarm of sleepy bugs summoned by Xia Pingon flew into Fort Boulogne and the surrounding forest. In the blink of an eye, those armed personnel guarding Fort Boulogne all fell to the ground and fell into a deep sleep. Even thunder couldn't wake them up. In front of a real summoner, a group of armed personnel were as fragile as babies in swaddling clothes. The summoners swaggered into Fort Boulogne without any effort. Xia Pingon led everyone to the entrance of the secret underground tunnel of Fort Boulogne. Leaving the 3 women outside, a group of men summoned their slave soldiers, Firefly Sack, and entered the gloomy and terrifying catacombs with radiation detectors in their hands. They advanced in the catacombs, which were piled with corpses. Li Yunzhou was not a coward, but looking at the endless corpses around him, his face gradually turned pale. Less than 2 kilometers into the catacombs, in a stone room surrounded by skulls, the readings of the radiation detectors in the hands of the slave soldiers began to increase abruptly, making beeping sounds. This stone room should have stored nuclear materials before. That's why the radiation index here is so high. After exchanging glances with each other, they continued to move forward. It didn't take them long to find the corpses that Xia Pingon had mentioned. The readings of the radiation detectors soared once again. The final destination of those nuclear materials transported to Paris was finally revealed. Chapter 555, Committee of Order Stronghold, Conference Room, The atmosphere in the conference room was somewhat solemn. Everyone was here, including Xia Pingon. Minister Yin stood on a huge electronic display screen in front of the conference room. He was holding a remote control in his hand and interpreting some old photos on the electronic display screen with everyone. The images in the photos were tragic. An urbanized city had turned into a ghost town, and corpses were everywhere on the streets. It was like a dead zone. There were also photos on the electronic display screen. They were underground, and there was a huge altar built of bones. Skeletons were piled up around the altar, and blood was sprinkled around the altar. This is a photo of Mambini, the capital of the East African Republic of Gondaru, in 1974. The Mambini incident directly killed half of the population of the Gondaru Republic. In just a few days, more than 1 million people died in the country. In the end, the United Nations Security Council passed a resolution, and various countries sent peacekeeping troops and summoners to finally calm down the Mambini incident. But then, the Gondaru Republic also disintegrated and became today's Cerebela and Xena. The following photo is the altar built by the demon Eye in the National Underground Cemetery of the Gondaru Republic. According to the habits of the Cerebela, they would collect the bones of their ancestors of death from the previous generations to worship them. So more than 1 million bones were gathered in the underground cemetery of their capital. At that time, a red-clothed priest of the demon Eye led the Mambini incident and used the bones in the underground cemetery to cast evil spells and use blood sacrifices to summon the bone monarch. Nuclear materials can create and transform demon spirits, and there are special casting materials in the evil spells used by the demon Eye to summon the bone monarch. According to the information we obtained in the data analysis done by the Intelligence Department of the Committee of Order, the ultimate purpose of the batch of nuclear materials smuggled into Paris by the demon Eye is more than 80% likely to be to create an altar to summon the bone monarch in the catacombs of Paris. Just half an hour ago, the Intelligence Department of the Fire Country officially informed the French government of this situation. The French government will take over the subsequent crisis, and the members of the Committee of Order and the Dragon Group will not enter the catacombs of Paris. Minister Yan's voice was unusually calm, as though he was talking about something unimportant. What if the Intelligence Department's analysis is wrong? Fong Lingyin asked with a slight frown. Minister Yin pressed the remote control in his hand towards the electronic monitor in the room once again. In an instant, another satellite surveillance image appeared on the electronic monitor in the room. The image was in a weird dark red color. In the dark red image, everything in Paris was glowing. It looked a bit hazy, as if it was shot under a special effect lens. Huaxia's Weasel 5 and Weasel 6 radiation detection satellites have entered the predetermined orbit and locked onto Paris. If the nuclear materials that entered the Paris catacombs are transported out of the catacombs, our radiation detection satellites will be able to warn us immediately. At that time, we will intercept. What if those nuclear materials don't come out? Tupolu asked with a frown. Tupolu's question made the meeting room fall into an abnormal silence. Actually, everyone had already guessed the answer. This choice was very difficult, and it was not completely flawless morally, but from the standpoint of the country, this was the only way. Minister Yin glanced at Tupolu and said calmly, "In the past few days, I have communicated with the various factions in Paris, and the negotiations for the evacuation passage at the airport have been settled. Our plane will arrive in Paris tomorrow, and we will arrange for the evacuation of the expatriates. If they insist on staying, they will be responsible for their own lives. This is the problem of the French. What happens next may also affect the safety of the European continent, but this has nothing to do with us. The Order Committee and the Dragon Group have no obligation to bleed for others here. We have already made great contributions to the safety of this city and Europe by cleaning up the demon rats and zombies in the underground tunnels here and pacifying the zombies in the District 14 cemetery. If the Demon Eyes plan succeeds, the French government and the European Parliament will be responsible for everything here. We have already done our best by informing them of the situation. Do you understand?" Tupolu's mouth moved, but in the end, he nodded firmly, and his expression became firm again. Understood. I will obey the orders of my superiors. Okay. Minister Yin also nodded. Our current mission is to change to surveillance. As long as the nuclear materials don't appear outside the underground tomb, it has nothing to do with us. If the situation is irreversible, we will evacuate. I have already arranged 3 evacuation plans for everyone. When the time comes, we will choose according to the situation. We will definitely ensure that everyone can safely evacuate in the most dangerous situation. Before the new mission is issued, no one is allowed to leave District 11 for the next few days, and no one is allowed to go out without permission. Everyone looked at each other, stood up from their seats, and walked out of the door. Xiaopinggan also had nothing to say, and also walked out behind the crowd. Mr. Luo, please wait. Minister Yin called out to Xiaopinggan. Xiaopinggan stopped and turned around. Is there anything else, Minister Yin? A smile suddenly appeared on Minister Yan's serious face, but disappeared in an instant. It's all thanks to the information provided by Mr. Luo and that we were able to discover the key clues to the nuclear materials this time. Thank you very much. There are no missions for the next few days, so Mr. Luo can rest. When the time is up, we will continue to pay Mr. Luo and the reward of the second Rel Pearl. Okay, thanks. It's not safe in Paris now. If Mr. Luo doesn't mind, you can move here. I've already asked someone to prepare a room for Mr. Luo. No need. My residence in Paris is very safe. It's very convenient for me to come here. If there's any situation, we can contact each other at any time. After chatting with Minister Yin for a while, Xiaopinggan left the conference room. After bidding farewell to Tu Polu and the others outside, he left the stronghold of the Committee of Order. He hadn't integrated the several realm pearls that he had just obtained. Moreover, according to Minister Yan's words, the Committee of Order and Dragon Group wouldn't intervene in the following crisis. However, if he wanted to intervene, it would be considered a private action. The Committee of Order couldn't control him. There was still a lot of room for manipulation. As long as he manipulated it well, it wouldn't be a problem for him to get a few more realm pearls. When he walked out of the stronghold of the Committee of Order, it was already dark outside. Xiaopinggan touched his chin as he muttered to himself. Now, it's time to see how many realm pearls those gangs and the French government in Paris can provide in order to save Paris. It seems that I have to meet Mr. Curie again. Today's chapter is updated. Chapter 556. In the private room of the Chez Terroir restaurant, Xiaopinggan was enjoying black truffles and drinking Romanicani while talking to Mr. Curie. At this moment, Mr. Curie's face was extremely solemn, and his voice was trembling. As the person in charge of the Popular Front, Mr. Curie obviously did not need anyone to explain to him what had happened in the East African country, the Gondaru Republic. He was very clear about the seriousness of the matter. Mr. Rohn, you're saying that the Mambinet incident might repeat itself in Paris, and the demon, I might use those nuclear materials and the skeletons in the catacombs of Paris to summon the demon spirit monarch with evil magic? Unfortunately, I'm afraid so. Xiaopinggan put down the knife and fork in his hand and took a sip of wine. I've received news that the Fire Country has informed the French government about the situation in Paris. The summoners of the Great Fire Country gathered in the 11th district will not enter the catacombs of Paris because there are summoners of the demon Eye in the catacombs. You've seen the ability of the summoner of the demon Eye. The catacombs are like his back garden, and he can turn all the skeletons into his warriors. It's too dangerous for summoners to enter the catacombs, and the summoners of other countries will not take such risks for France and Paris. If the Popular Front can't do anything, reminding the people to evacuate might prevent more casualties in the future. Xiaopinggan was retreating in order to advance and speaking to Mr. Curie with the attitude and tone of a bystander. Is there no other way? Mr. Curie asked. You'll have to ask the French government and the European Parliament about this. It depends on how much sacrifice and effort they are prepared to make to save Paris. The relationship between Paris and the government is relatively stiff now. Before the government completely recovers its leadership of Paris, I'm afraid it won't invest too much in us. The government will take the opportunity to negotiate with us and make us yield. By the time the bureaucrats fully react, Paris will probably be in ruins. The politicians and quarrelsome members of the European Parliament will only throw the problem to the French government and pressure it. If the French government doesn't handle it well, they will jump out and stand on the moral high ground to condemn it. I know too well what those people will do, Mr. Curie said with a frown. I'm sorry. After all, this is a matter of life and death. I have no reason to ask the people I know to rush into the catacombs to be heroes. Mr. Curie held his cane and paced around the room anxiously with a frown. He suddenly turned his head, and his eyes regained their determination. Mr. Roan, can you help us? I know that Mr. Roan is very powerful. If Mr. Roan wasn't at the scene today's cemetery, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Of course, we'll not let you take such a risk. If he wasn't there, if you was, yes, if you was, I know some powerful and mysterious summoners. Xiao Pingan smiled slightly. Finally, the dagger was revealed. Although the internationalism spirit was touching, Xiao Pingan was not prepared to become a selfless internationalist soldier at this moment. To some extent, the stronger he was, the more hope there would be for the humans in this world. Therefore, this was not a case of leaving them in the lurch, but of guiding the situation. My greed is for the sake of all mankind, Xiao Pingan thought to himself. Then he said, as long as you can provide enough remuneration, I'm willing to go in with them and try. I can't guarantee the results, but I can guarantee that we will be worthy of your remuneration. They were virtual characters of Xiao Pingan. People would misunderstand that he had many companions and friends, and no one would doubt his strength. After entering the catacombs, who knew what would happen inside? He just had to search the catacombs and kill the summoner of the demon eyes to prevent the demon eyes from succeeding in their scheme. Mr. Curie immediately perked up and took a deep breath. It's a very fair proposal. What does Mr. Luo want in return? Realm beads. All kinds of realm beads, the best and the rarest. According to the realm beads you can provide, I can organize some people to provide you with the corresponding help. This will take some time. The People's Front doesn't have many realm beads. I have to discuss with the leaders of the other organizations in Paris. After seeing the corpse change in the cemetery today, I think those people already know the seriousness of the matter. That would be best. Xiao Pingan gently wiped the corners of his mouth with a napkin and stood up. If you decide, hang a string of yellow balloons on the iron tower, and I'll come here to find you. It's best to be quick because I don't know how long those people from the Demon Eyes will take to set up in the catacombs. Understood. Under the respectful escort of Mr. Curie and Gabriel, they sent Xiao Pingan directly to the entrance of the restaurant. Then they watched as Xiao Pingan took a few steps in front of them and gradually disappeared like a bubble melting into the darkness. A sense of awe surged in their hearts. Sir, Gabriel looked at Mr. Curie with a slightly bitter smile and a trace of doubt on his face. We don't seem to have realm beads. We had people try to fuse with the previous realm beads, but they have all been used up. They also failed several times and 2 people died. No, guy, we must have them. We must have them no matter what. Mr. Curie looked at the sky and took a deep breath of the cold night air. His eyes suddenly became colder than the night sky. Those gentlemen must sit down and talk to me. And our government. The government is also obligated to do something for the people of Paris in exchange for our forgiveness for their previous betrayal. If they can't do it, then we will go to hell with them. When Xiao Pingan returned to Emily's villa, he found it empty. Only Emily's dog, Batu, was guarding the house. Since Emily joined the patrol team, Xiao Pingan felt that she had become busier and busier. At the sight of Xiao Pingan, Batu ran towards him while wagging its tail. Xiao Pingan took out a sausage from his space teleportation equipment and fed it to Batu's day. After stroking Batu's head, Xiao Pingan came to the underground shelter. After opening the matrix plate habitually, Xiao Pingan let out a long sigh of relief as he took out the 3 realm beads that he had obtained today. After a long day, he didn't have time to fuse with the realm beads until this late at night. Xia Pingan first took out the realm bead of dancing at the sound of the rooster. After dripping his blood on it, he was soon surrounded by a light cocoon. The realm bead of dancing at the sound of the rooster told the story of Zhu Ti. It was easy to fuse with this realm bead. All he had to do was wake up early and diligently. In just a few minutes, the realm bead was easily fused with. Xiaopingan's divine power limit had reached 8,203 points. He was getting closer and closer to the 7 Sun realm. Next, Xiaopingan began to fuse with the realm bead of the orphan of the Zhao clan. For those who were familiar with the history of the orphan of the Zhao clan, it wasn't difficult to fuse with this realm bead. There were many tragic characters in it. Xiaopingan just didn't know what role he would play in it. In the realm bead of the orphan of the Zhao clan, Xiaopingan opened his eyes and saw an old man with a long beard kneeling in front of him. He looked at him with an extremely solemn gaze and asked directly, "The Lord already has an orphan, but Tu Anjiao wiped out the Lord's entire clan. If he doesn't find this orphan, he won't let it go. He has already searched the entire city for babies under 6 months old. Only the 2 of us can rely on the Lord's flesh and blood. Cheng, what do you think is more difficult, to fuse with the orphan or to die?" Xiaopingan looked at the old man in front of him and heard his words. He knew that the old man was Gongsun Guojiu and that his current identity was Cheng Ying. Dying is easy, but fusing with the orphan is difficult. Xiaopingan replied. The old man smiled. His expression was calm. "The Zhao clan's previous ruler has treated you well. Just do the difficult thing, and I'll leave the rest to you. I'm old and useless, so I'll just do the simple thing." Xiaopingan looked at Gongsun Guojiu's face and bowed deeply to him. Chapter 557. War. You've already had your coronation today. You're now an adult and have inherited the family business. You've restored the glory of the Zhao clan. Tu and Jia has been executed, and I fulfilled my promise to Gongsun Guojiu. I'm going to tell Gongsun Guojiu this news. At this moment, Xiaopingan's hair was completely white. He looked at Zhao Wu, who had just finished his coronation, and spoke softly. At this moment, Zhao Wu had already gotten his revenge and was fully aware of his origins. Furthermore, with the support of Duke Jinggong, he had wiped out the Jia clan. The orphan of the Zhao clan had now grown up, while Cheng Ying was already old. However, Xiaopingan knew that the story of Zhao's orphan was not over. The main character of the story was never Zhao Wu, but Cheng Ying and the long-dead Gongsun Guojiu. Cheng Ying used her whole life to explain what loyalty, righteousness, and integrity were, and the true meaning and spirit behind the story of Zhao's orphan. Upon hearing Xiaopingan's words, the 20-year-old Zhao Wu was already sobbing. He knelt in front of Xiaopingan and touched his head to the ground. When he raised his head, his face was covered in tears. "Why did Sir leave me? Even if I were to die, I wouldn't be able to repay Sir's kindness. Won't you give me a chance? If I don't tell him, he will think that I didn't fulfill my promise, so I must go. If you stop me and don't allow me to report to Gongsun Guojiu, you will be accusing me of being disloyal and unjust. You will make me too ashamed to face Lord and Gongsun Guojiu after I die. Enough, go out. I'll be alone for a while. Have someone come in tomorrow morning. Remember to bury me next to Gongsun Guojiu." As Xiaopingan spoke, he turned his back to Zhao Wu and looked at the tall pine tree in the yard without saying another word. Zhao Wu wailed and knelt behind Xiaopingan for half a day. In the end, when he saw that Xiaopingan did not turn around, he kowtowed to Xiaopingan several times and slowly left the room with tears streaming down his face. After Zhao Wu left, Xiaopingan turned around and walked toward the table in the room. He took down the sword on the table and pulled it out with a clang sound. After that, he sighed softly. "Alas, is it over? Cheng Ying, it's been hard on you." The world of the realm pearl shattered, and the divine power limit of the secret mandala increased to 8,263 points. Cheng Ying and Gongsun Guojiu sat opposite each other on the spell seat of a bronze statue. They bowed to each other. This was the spell slot of the substitution technique. The substitution technique could not be used continuously. Instead, the divine power consumed by the full moon and the secret mandala would automatically replenish itself every month. There was only one chance to use the substitution technique every month. The substitution technique was a passive technique. Every time it was activated, it would consume 99 points of divine power to protect oneself. Once an attack or spell that could end one's life approached, the substitution technique will be activated at the most critical moment, allowing the user to avoid death in that instant. The substitute would replace the user's body and teleport the user out of danger. As for how far the teleportation would be, it depended on the user's cultivation realm. To a certain extent, this secret technique was equivalent to giving the user an extra life. The substitution technique was ineffective against poisons and only reacted to attacks. In the secret room, Xiao Pingan opened his eyes and let out a long sigh. Even though he had already left the world of the Realm Pearl, this story still left him deeply moved and unable to calm down for a long time. The wise and brave Gongsun Quzhou and Cheng Ying had left behind this secret technique for all summoners in the future. The only thing left was the Realm Pearl of the Earth escape technique. Looking at the lively little person in the Realm Pearl that kept burrowing into the ground, Xiao Pingan calmed himself down. He dripped blood again and began the fusion. This Realm Pearl was too strange. Ever since he fused with the Realm Pearl, he had no idea how to fuse with it. He had no clue at all. He could only try his luck. For the third time, Xiao Pingan was surrounded by an earthen yellow cocoon of light. Xiao Pingan opened his eyes and found himself on a beautiful island. The waves were crashing around him, and the sky was blue, and white clouds were above him. The island was like a paradise. Where was this place? Xiao Pingan's mind was a little muddled. Who was he now? Xiao Pingan did not know either. He looked at the clothes he was wearing. They were very simple linen clothes that looked very old. Other than the clothes, he did not have anything on him that could prove his identity. Seeing a small stream nearby, Xiao Pingan hurriedly ran toward it. The stream gurgled and was so clear that one could see the bottom. Colorful pebbles could be seen everywhere in the stream. There were also some small fish swimming happily in the stream. Xiao Pingan squatted by the stream and used the pebbles in the stream to surround the calm water surface. Then he lowered his head and looked at his reflection on the water surface. The reflection that appeared in the stream was not someone else's face, but Xiao Pingan's own face. Xiao Pingan was stunned. What was going on? This was the first time he had seen such a situation. In the past, he had always become someone else in the Realm Pearl. Why did he become himself in this mythical Realm Pearl? Just as Xiao Pingan lowered his head to look at the stream, the sky was reflected in the stream. A purple rainbow flew across the sky and happened to be seen by Xiao Pingan in the stream. Xiao Pingan immediately got up and looked in the direction that the rainbow had disappeared. He realized that it was the mountain in the middle of the island. He thought for a moment and immediately rushed toward the mountain in the middle of the island. There were no dangerous creatures on the island. A few hours later, Xiao Pingan finally climbed to the mountain where the purple rainbow had disappeared with a wooden spear made of tree branches. When Xiao Pingan climbed to the mountain, he was stunned. He saw a fat Taoist surrounded by a mortal aura. He was sitting in front of a cave in the middle of the mountain. With the mountain behind him as a screen, he was inhaling clouds and exhaling fog. He seemed to be absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in a rather leisurely manner. Above the cave, there were 3 simple and unadorned small seal characters with the words Flying Cloud Cave. When the Taoist saw Xiao Pingan climbing up the mountain, he suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes flashed, and he smiled. Another one who wants to learn the Earth Escape technique from me. Well, according to my rules, as long as you can say my name, I will teach you the Earth Escape technique. Anyone who fused with this kind of Realm Pearl would be stunned. Xiao Pingan was also stunned. He turned his gaze to the cave behind the Taoist. The words Flying Cloud Cave were like a bolt of lightning that lit up a story and character in Xiao Pingan's memory. Flying Cloud Cave? Flying Cloud Cave of Clamping Dragon Mountain? This was the dojo of Ju Lu's son, one of the 12 Jade Void Immortals of the Chan sect in the myths. Wait, in the myths, Ju Lu's son was the master of Tu Xing Sunday. Tu Xing Sun's Earth Escape technique was taught to him by Ju Lu Sunday. Xia Pingan looked at the Taoist waist. Indeed, there was a purplish gold rope around the Taoist waist. Immortal binding rope? Junior Xia Pingan pays his respect to exalted immortal Ju Lu's son. Xia Pingan bowed deeply to the Taoist. Ha ha, since you can say my name, then we are fated. Well, I will teach you the Earth Escape technique. Ju Lu's son laughed loudly and pointed casually. A golden light entered Xia Pingan's forehead. You have already learned the Earth Escape technique. Quickly leave the mountain and don't disturb my cultivation. As Ju Lu's son spoke, he waved his hand at Xia Pingan and then continued to breathe in the clouds, ignoring him. Xia Pingan was stunned that he learned it so easily. He guessed that once he left the mountain, the world of this realm pearl would probably shatter. This mythical realm pearl could be the hardest to fuse with, but it could also be the easiest to fuse with. Everything depended on one's ability. However, Xia Pingan wasn't in a hurry to leave. As long as the realm pearl didn't completely shatter and leave, it meant that he still had the possibility of improving. Apart from the Earth Escape technique, I heard that exalted, immortal Ju Lu's son has a mystic technique that can restrain the Earth Escape technique. I wonder if exalted immortal can teach me the Earth Escape technique? Xia Pingan continued to bow and asked. Ju Lu's son opened his eyes and looked at Xia Pingan again. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. You should know that I know the Earth Escape technique. Who told you? The 12 exalted immortals of the Jade Void Palace are famous. I naturally know that exalted immortal Ju Lu Sunday. Apart from the Earth Escape technique, I also know that exalted immortal binding rope is unique. Ha ha, you are smart. It seems that we are fated to be together. However, I can't break the rules I set. I can only teach you the Earth Escape technique this time. If you can see me again and pass the test I gave you, I will teach you the Earth Escape technique that can restrain the Earth Escape technique. Then how can I see you again? Xia Pingan hurriedly asked. How'd you see me this time? It will be the same next time. As Ju Lu's son spoke, he waved his hand and the world of the realm pearl shattered. Chapter 558. In the secret chamber, Xia Pingan opened his eyes. There was still a hint of confusion in his eyes. He had already grasped the Earth Escape technique. The secret mandala's god power had increased by 49 points. Now, it had become 8,312 points. However, Xia Pingan was still confused. Previously, he didn't know how this mythical realm pearl was fused. Now that he knew, he had his doubts. The previous realm pearls were all real people and illusions in history. Why was the mythical realm pearl this time a mythical figure? Could it be that those myths were also real and were just told as stories? Even if those myths were real, this realm pearl had been fused 3 times in China's history. How did the person who fused with this realm pearl pass the test in the realm pearl? How did he know exalted immortal Ju Liusuan's name? How could he guess that exalted immortal's name by randomly saying a name? The possibility of this was close to 0. Xia Pingan sat in the secret chamber and thought for a while. He realized that he couldn't get any answers by guessing. Thus, he shook his head and smiled bitterly. Then, he put away the disc array and walked out of the secret chamber. From the time he entered the secret chamber to the time he came out, he had fused 3 realm pearls. Only less than 3 hours had passed. He was getting closer and closer to his target of 8,820 points in the 7 Sun realm. After walking out of the secret chamber, Xia Pingan's heart was burning with passion. Woof, woof, woof. Xia Pingan had just walked out of the secret chamber to the living room when he heard Batu's excited barking and the sound of the door being unlocked. Needless to say, Emily was back. Batu, stop fooling around. I'm tired. It's late. Go back to your nest and sleep. Emily's voice came from the courtyard outside the villa. Her voice was weak, and even her footsteps were abnormally heavy. Xiao Pingon didn't need to look at Emily to be able to picture her appearance in his heart. He shook his head and smiled. Then, he went straight to the kitchen and started making soup and frying steak. Although Emily was his disciple, every time he saw Emily, Xiao Pingon would actually think of Xia Ning and couldn't help but treat Emily like a little girl. Her lips were a little dry, and a few strands of sweaty hair were stuck to her forehead. Her footsteps were heavy and slow in her spike-proof boots. Wearing a black patrol uniform and a tactical vest, Emily pushed open the door and returned to the mansion. The moment she entered the living room of the mansion, Emily came to the front of the sofa, took off her belt, and threw the belt that contained her pistol, baton, and dagger onto the table beside her. She then collapsed onto the sofa and stared blankly at the pitch-black ceiling like a dried, salted fish. It was too tiring. Today was the most tiring day ever since he joined the patrol team. Emily felt like an empty conch shell that was washed up on the beach. She just wanted to lie on the beach and let the waves hit her. She didn't even want to move her eyes. After lying on the sofa for about 5 to 6 minutes, Emily's eyes finally moved. She blinked her eyes and sniffed. She had already smelled an alluring aroma. That aroma made her stomach growl. At this moment, Emily suddenly remembered something. She quickly got up from the sofa and walked quickly to the mansion's kitchen. The closer she got to the kitchen, the stronger the aroma became. "Teacher." Emily was shocked to see Xiao Pingon busy in the kitchen. She stammered, "Leave it to me. I'll be done soon." "No need, I'm almost done." "Why? Are you tired today?" Xiao Pingon asked while frying the steak. "The city is too chaotic today. I'm almost exhausted. I heard that there's a big problem in the cemetery in the 14th arrondissement. The main armed forces of the People's Front have been transferred there. I did the work of 5 people today and didn't even drink a sip of water." "Oh, is that so?" Xiao Pingon cooked absent-mindedly. In his mind, he was thinking about how he should get 2 realm pearls that could summon the culinary god and the strongest chef. If he had them, he wouldn't need to cook anymore. Everyone in Paris is saying that corpses crawled out of their graves to eat people. It's a bit chaotic outside. Many rascals took the opportunity to rob and steal. It's terrible. On my way back, I caught 3 bastards who robbed shops and sent them to the patrol team's prison. That's why I was delayed," Emily said as she swallowed her saliva. She watched Xiao Pingon frying the steak in the pot until both sides were colored. Then he extravagantly poured expensive red wine over the steak. After that, he put the fried steak and vegetables on a plate and drizzled them with black pepper sauce and basil leaves. The aroma of the authentic French red wine steak almost made Emily swallow her tongue. "Dinner is ready. Take the soup and bread out," Xiao Pingon said to Emily after he finished cooking the steak and took a look at the soup. Emily blinked her eyes and said to Xiao Pingon pitifully, "Teacher, there's only 1 steak? I made it for you. I've already eaten it." "Thank you, teacher." Emily immediately smiled. "I'm going out for a while. I don't know when I'll be back. I could be back as soon as the sun rises, or I could be delayed for a few days. Don't worry. If you encounter something that you can't solve, make sure you're alive first. Everything can wait for me to come back." "Ah, teacher, you're going on a long trip?" Emily asked in surprise. "Isn't it normal for a man to earn money?" "I'm poor too." "Teacher, you're poor." "That's about the same." Xiao Pingon rubbed his nose with a smile. "All right, I'm going now." Emily still wanted to say something, but she discovered that Xiao Pingon had already disappeared in front of her. That's right, he had disappeared. A sense of reverence welled up in Emily's heart. She felt like her teacher was becoming more and more powerful. His spell technique of disappearing into thin air was becoming more and more difficult to detect. Xiao Pingon moved through the ground like a sailfish swimming in water. The surrounding soil and rocks were like a thin layer of fog, which looked so unreal. Through the thin layer of fog, he could see the water pipes and gas pipes buried under Paris, the roots of trees that extended into the soil, the subterranean river, and the subway tunnels in the soil. The Earth escape technique was too powerful, and it was very fast. Nothing had changed. The only thing that had changed was his body and perception. How could the people outside know that there was someone in the soil through the earth escape technique? It was too hidden. The word earth in the earth escape technique did not only refer to soil, but also stones and stone-like materials. Stones could easily pass through, and just like soil, this secret technique could pass through mountains and enter the ground. Xiao Pingon rushed toward the exit of the catacombs in the 14th district of Paris that he had just left during the day. He would first get rid of the rats from the demon eye in the catacombs and then slowly negotiate with the French to help them resolve the crisis. Cough, cough. Anyway, if he did not say anything, who would know that the rats in the catacombs of Paris had already been dealt with? Tiger, adjust your state. Everyone rest early. Chapter 559. In the depths of the dark catacombs in Paris, gloomy green willow, the wisps pulsed in various spaces of the pitch-black and secluded underground. The huge space, covered by the skulls of millions of skeletons, was like a desert of skeletons. This scene was like hell. At a glance, a skeletal castle built entirely of human skeletons stood in the darkness. The shape of the skeletal castle was like the iron towers on the ground of Paris, giving it an indescribable feeling. Around the skeletal castle, there were mountains of skeletons, and millions of skeletons were piled up around the mountains of skeletons. At this moment, the skeletons in the mountains of skeletons were squirming, and skeletons were walking out of the mountains of skeletons, forming an army of skeletons outside the skeletal castle. At this moment, the army of skeletons already numbered in the tens of thousands. Like an army, they were majestic and exuded a gloomy and terrifying aura. The skeletons in the mountains of skeletons were automatically assembling like products produced on an assembly line: skulls, sternum, ribs, spines, humerus, ulna, leg bones, and so on. The skeletons that had been piled up here for hundreds of years were crawling out of the ground and moving from the mountains of skeletons. They were being driven by a mysterious and powerful force, reassembling and standing up. Wearing a red robe, Bourget Monuri, who had deep-set eyes and a sharp aquiline nose, was standing on the balcony at the highest point of the skeletal castle, looking coldly at the mountains of skeletons that were gradually turning into living creatures in the distance. A group of black-robed and gray-robed summoners, about a dozen of them, were standing behind him, looking at everything in front of them with fanatical, excited, and worshipful gazes. Behind them, on the platform at the top of the castle, a huge skeletal altar had been completed. On the altar, countless skeletons wrapped in clouds of black gas were floating in the air. In the middle of the altar was a sacrificial totem of a demon eye. The eyeball in the middle of the totem was a wall-like lead block surrounded by blood, rotten flesh, and black gas. There was also a barrel-shaped metal container with the PU symbol on it. The altar was operating, and the metal container containing weapons-grade plutonium was shrouded in black smoke. Bits of green light were spreading out from the metal container and being absorbed by the skeletons floating on the skeletal altar. After absorbing the green light, the shape, color, and appearance of the floating skeletons were changing little by little. A few pale skulls showed signs of merging with each other, revealing the appearance of an even larger skull with flashing red eyes, a man in a black robe, whose face was as white as a geisha's and a vampire's, was standing behind Bourget Monuri and speaking in a cold voice. Damn it! If it weren't for the Committee of Order and the Dragon Group, our summoning process would have been smoother. We shouldn't have been discovered yet, and everything could have gone according to plan. Now, they have discovered us, and our altar has only summoned a marquee. I've already completed today's mission. Later, I set up an ambush, and no summoner in the city dared to enter the catacombs. A man in a black robe, whose face was as white as a geisha's and a vampire's, was standing behind Bourget and Monuri and speaking in a cold voice. Andrew, you don't seem to have completed your task well today. Another man in a black robe with a face full of wrinkles said, I've just received news that there is no large-scale chaos in Paris at all. There are no zombies on the streets of Paris. The chaos in the 14th arrondissement is very limited. Only the area around the cemetery has been sealed off. That old guy from the People's Front is not dead. Instead, he has become more active and has contacted the leaders of other gangs in Paris to collect realm pearls. Where's the chaos and the tide of zombies that you mentioned? Frere, are you suspecting me? A fierce light flashed in the eyes of the man with a snow-white face. He glared fiercely at the man with a face full of wrinkles. Everyone around, even a blind person, knew that these two priests in black were not on good terms with each other. However, this kind of situation was very common in the Demon Eye. Between the priests in black and the priests in red, they were all in a competitive relationship. They were not harmonious. Frere sneered and looked at Andrew without fear. Isn't that right? I suspect that in order to preserve your strength at the critical moment, you did not complete a large-scale corpse sacrifice according to His Excellency Manuli's request and create enough chaos to buy time for His Excellency Manuli. During the period when the glory of the demon god dominator has faded, your performance has let down your black robe. Otherwise, how could that second-rank military summoner escape from your hands last time? The vampire-like man gritted his teeth. Frere, one day, I will definitely inlay your skull on my staff. Is that so? I think your skull is more suitable for my staff. The two priests in black looked at each other. Their eyes were burning with anger. Enough, Borj Manuli said coldly. Then, he turned his head and glanced at the two priests with a cold gaze. Andrew, what's wrong with today's corpse sacrifice? Why didn't it achieve the expected effect? Your Excellency, that's because the summoner called Luo and was with that old man. Not long after I started, the members of the Order Committee and the Dragon Group arrived. That's why the chaos was only limited to the area around the cemetery in the 14th District. Can the Committee of Order and the Dragon Group arrive so quickly? They arrived as soon as your corpse sacrifice broke out. Why don't I believe it? Frere sneered at the side. Perhaps Luo and alone could deal with the zombies summoned by your corpse sacrifice. Noticing Borj Monnery's suspicious look, the vampire-like man glared at Frere before hurriedly explaining, Your Excellency, I don't know why the members of the Order Committee and Dragon Group could arrive here so quickly. Perhaps they've already made an agreement. Your Excellency, you can send someone to check the situation of the cemetery in Section 14 at any time. I'm willing to bear the consequences. However, Luo is too powerful. He might have reached the peak of rank 7, just like you, Your Excellency. Did that Luo and ruin our plan again? Borj Manuli squinted his eyes as a murderous intent flashed across his eyes. The Doomsday Gang was also destroyed by him last time. Such a summoner has been hiding in Paris for such a long time, but we didn't discover it until now. It's really inappropriate. We can't let such a person live. However, we can only let him live for 2 more days. Andrew, you're in charge of the east of Paris. Frere, you're in charge of the west. Show me what you've got. I still need 10 days. You two are my most promising candidates to promote to Red Priest. Whoever could complete this task better would be promoted to Red Priest in advance. Hearing Frere's words, Borj Monnery threw a black bottle to Andrew and Frere respectively. I don't care what you're doing. What I need is a chaotic Paris, so as to win some time for us to summon Bone Monarch. Tomorrow, you two will move together. Andrew, you're in charge of the east of Paris. Frere, you're in charge of the west. The two men in black looked at each other. Their eyes flashed as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Then they nodded their heads. Yes, Your Excellency. At this moment, an abrupt and lazy voice suddenly sounded in everyone's ears. You still need 10 days to complete it? That's a bit slow. I can't wait for you for 10 days. As soon as this voice appeared, everyone in the skeleton castle was shocked. Who's there? Borj Manuli roared as he moved his hand. A ray of blood light blasted toward the bone wall behind them. Boom! The bone wall shattered into countless broken bones and splashed everywhere. The other people from the demon's eyes were covered in black fog. Some of them even released a large number of phantom monsters' demon spirits. Amidst the splashing bones, Xia Pingon slowly walked out of the darkness. With a smile on his face, Xia Pingon shook his head slightly as he looked at Borj Manuli and the others with disdain. You rats' aesthetic standards are too unbearable. You actually like living in such a place. What a bunch of rats that you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.